Let me know if it's working. And I will be right back.
Always because
And now something completely...
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out about their haircuts.
I'm begging, stress and pain, and I can promise you the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt and deal with them and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to our afternoon impromptu show. Make sure I have the sound off. Just a special edition of The Bald Truth. Joe Tillman kind of twisted my arm today and said, hey, we got to do a live impromptu show. I said, all right, fuck it.
Impromptu planned 4 hours ago.
Yeah, what else do I got to do on a Friday besides work for a living? But
well, someone's got to make you do it.
That's true. And guys,
we can't let the award go to your head.
Actually, that award puts a little fire under my ass, and essentially, it kind of gave me the opportunity to step back. By the way, guys, yesterday was my birthday. Not that you guys really give a shit. But I'm 53 years old, and I was actually awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is crazy. It makes me feel old, by the FUE Europe organization. What is the full name of the organization, Joe? I should know this, but they always call themselves
FUE Society, I believe. No,
that's not it. I know. I gotta look for it.
FUE Europe, I believe.
It is FUE Europe. That's how they. But there's also it's something else as well. But anyway, and obviously I'm honored. That's great. It's wonderful. And I put this on Facebook. I'm really more honored to know the guys who had the fucking balls to give me a Lifetime Achievement Award in this industry when we were dealing with some fucking savages who, in my view, who are so-called leaders in this field. They are fearful. They have, I believe, essentially been complicit in the devolution. Is that a word? The devolvement?
Devolvement, de-evolution.
Yeah, de-evolution of this field.
Yeah.
They are complaining all the time about what's happening in the field, yet they refuse to do anything. I had a guy who actually...
No, that's not true. They do choose to do something. They choose to bitch and moan and pass the responsibility to do something onto others.
Onto me.
Yes.
Yes.
How's that?
Yeah, and I also said there's a doctor down South Florida. He is obviously not a member of the IAHRS, but he is with, on a ad hoc committee of the IAHRS, which is the educational organization of this field. And where, there are well over 1,000 members who belong to this organization. And he posted on my Facebook page basically saying kudos to me and to Dr. Cole. And I decided to take that opportunity to say, look, because we have been talking for a while, I said, you guys now have the opportunity to embrace this change, to do essentially embrace it like these European physicians, like Dr. John Cole, like other guys out there, to say, you know what, there may be more than one way to skin a cat, and there's an opportunity here to really affect change. All you have to do is support what we do, sit back, and watch it fucking happen. Did you freeze? No, you're moving. Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, I didn't put the camera on you. Hey, there's
That's
Joe.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel.
Yeah, Jesus. Why don't you tell me? Just put
my
camera, please.
Here's a screwy part. It's like things seem to be working great here, on this desktop over here, I can see everything's working fine. His Skype's connected.
Right.
But on my MacBook that's connected to my screen and everything, I can't get on the internet.
Really?
What the hell's going on? I can't watch the show. I'm watching this show on my phone right now.
That's fucking weird.
It is weird.
You gotta deal with that, man.
I need to raise hell with my
internet provider.
ISP. Yeah. Anyway, as you were.
Yeah, so this guy then writes back basically that, the IAHRS has already set their position, and you have this huge platform, and your listeners are depending on you. What are you waiting for? Why don't you tell them, how fucked up this industry is? Well, I've been doing that for 20 years. The problem is that guys like you, sorry, I'm going to mention his name, Dr. Ricardo Mejia, who's a very nice guy to me, but it just
not mentioning any names.
Yeah. Well, listen, he just doesn't understand. I want him to really grasp this concept. So imagine somebody's out there beating their drum. They get out to the consumer like we do, and like I have been doing for the last 20 years, and you've been doing with me for 5 years, more than that. It's ridiculous how long you've been hanging on to the show. But
for dear life.
Yeah, dude, come on. You're the second best thing that ever happened to this program.
Aw.
You like that?
Aw, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I
I'm
like that.
Of course the first. But
TM.
Yeah. So what was I saying? I lost my train of thought because I was drinking last night for my fucking birthday. So happy
Dr.
birthday
Ricardo.
to me. Yeah. So, I'm trying to let him know that, imagine what it would be like if you're out there and you're trying to get a message out there, and then you go to say Dr. Mejia, and then you ask him about the bald truth or the IAHRS, and he goes out there and says, well, we don't support the IAHRS or the bald truth. We don't support that message here at whatever the name of his company is, because we believe in this or that or whatever politics they believe in.
Yeah.
And essentially, I'm scared shitless to say anything directly to your face, even though I know that the guy down the block could fucking butcher you. But I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to sit here and let these other people say something. But the way that the consumer perceives it is, well, that message must not be important. That message may not be completely factual that Kobren and Tillman are putting out there. So essentially, they are undermining what we are trying to do by allowing and by really endorsing everything that they claim they are against. Anytime you see an IAHRS seal on a fucking schlock shop's website, that schlock shop is paying an annual membership fee, and also for the ability and the right to display that seal as a credential, quote unquote. And patients have no fucking clue that that's not a credential. They have no clue.
I can tell you how many times I've seen people online and even have contacted me directly saying, I'm considering Clinic X in Timbuktu. They're recommended by the IAHRS.
Yeah.
What does it even mean?
Well,
Nothing.
It doesn't mean anything. But
no. So
when Dr. Mejia says to me, I told him I'm going to send him the sound check, by the way. Dr. Mejia says to me publicly that, my listeners are waiting for me to save them, to tell them the truth. A, I don't think you've ever listened to the fucking show, dude. And B, you got to get with the program. Everyone has to have skin in the game to make this happen. If you guys are going to put out a position statement that is railing against non-physicians performing surgery, and that, is basically saying that, the IAHRS frowns upon this type of behavior, false advertising, this, that, and the other thing. Yet, more than half of your membership is doing that.
Yeah.
Then there's something wrong.
Well, I think there's also something wrong with, what he was saying is, you're in a position to, I forgot the exact wording he was using, but, educate your listeners. And that's absolutely what you've been doing already for 20 years. But they're the ones in a position because they apparently have a marketing budget for social media now, and yet they choose to push out posts on Instagram and Twitter, or I don't know about Instagram, but on Twitter, saying, "Guess whose hair this is?" And it's an outline of Marge Simpson. It's like,
well, why
are you wasting your money on this?
Here's the thing: I'm not even going to criticize that. It's sad to see, and
I am because I think it's ridiculous.
Well, but it really shows how out of touch they are. But with that said, they have the opportunity to really reach a lot of people, to work with us, to be, to kind of glean everything that we understand about the industry and the consumer, and to really help patients. And I am here to state this on record, I do not believe that is part of their agenda. I believe the reason they are doing what they're doing currently is out of fear of essentially losing control and also losing patients. I got an email from a physician yesterday, actually a physician's tech who runs this physician's business. Basically, he said that they're in a really bad position right now. They don't know what to do. There are a lot of people in their immediate area who are just essentially buying machines. And we talk about this all the time, but now the competition is so stiff they don't know what to do. They're losing money. They're not getting cases, and essentially they're asking me what to do. And I'm like, let's see. Are you utilizing anything that differentiates you in your practice?
Right.
And of course, I'm like, you're using the seals, No, they are not.
Of course not.
I'm like, well, what do you expect? I said, did you see the latest viral video that went out? The first viral video ever in this industry. And that was with Dr. Sean Benham here in Los Angeles. What do you see in that video? You see a big fucking IAHRS and AHLA seal in every shot.
Yeah.
Because he understands the power of that.
What was that? What was that video? It was a very popular YouTuber. He's got a few million subscribers, I believe.
It was whatchamacallit, from BuzzFeed.
Yeah. He's a guy on BuzzFeed. Let's see, FUE BuzzFeed. It's a very slick video, like very well produced.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have the budget for it. 2.6 million views. Posted a week ago.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
bald man gets a hair transplant.
Yeah. So that's the first viral video in our field, and the entire time he is sitting there having a consultation with Dr. Benham, every shot in his office, you just see the IAHRS and the American Hair Loss Association seal, and the ABHRS, his board certification.
Yeah.
I kind of put that in quotes because there's really no true board certification in this field that's recognized by the ABMS, but at least it's a start. There's a guy in the chat room who asked if all the guys or the physicians in the IAHRS are equal. I would say no. No one's equal in this industry. The members of the IAHRS are in the IAHRS for two reasons. One, they have exhibited that they are providing consistently good results. They have all met the basic criteria of a minimum 500 cases, which is quite a lot, actually, compared to other organizations where the minimum is 50 cases, and as far as the IAHRS, there is no minimum. You don't need to perform any cases. And they all support our message, which is surgery is a last resort, and that they realize that we're going to do this program. We're probably going to talk a lot of people out of having surgery, but they also understand the importance of that for their own practices. They don't want people coming into their practice who really don't make good candidates, who aren't fully informed, who aren't well educated and well versed before they sit down and have that consultation, because those are the worst possible candidates, even if they make good candidates.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, just so people that are watching and listening understand, a good candidate doesn't necessarily mean someone with great donor hair and an easy case to do surgically. A good candidate has to understand what they're getting into. They have to understand the potential downfall or downsides and side effects of the surgery. They have to understand that they may not get the growth that they're looking for. They have to be a patient that understands that this is an elective procedure that does have a chance of failing to various degrees, from moderately to completely, because every doctor has a failure.
And it doesn't matter who you go to. It doesn't matter what procedure you choose. You can choose a guy who's been doing strip for 20 years, who has the infrastructure to carry it out well, and you can end up having a stretch donor. And you're probably not the first one who experienced that. And this can happen with an IAHRS doctor. People are under this impression, and this isn't never the impression that I have wanted to give, and this is not the impression you get on the website, but it is what has been perpetuated online, sadly, by, I don't know, it's allowed to be perpetuated on different message forums, but that if someone is a member of the IAHRS, that they are going to get a perfect result every time. And if they don't, they're pissed because they're part of the IAHRS and they didn't get a perfect result. Well, all I can tell you is that there's not a single member of the IAHRS that doesn't have at least one unhappy patient. That is the way of the world. That is what cosmetic surgery is. Every time you go under the knife, you are taking a risk. And it could be your physiology. It could be that that day their technicians had a bad day. It could be that the doctor is off that day. It happens. And that's it. So, yeah, we created a safe place to start your research. But no matter how many patients you've met, no matter what you have done as far as doing your due diligence, there's always, even though it's a small percentage, there's always a percentage. There's always a possibility that you are going to be fucked up.
Yeah.
And if you can't deal with that, don't have cosmetic surgery.
And I take that, that step one further by even saying, people are like, well, who's the best surgeon? There's no such thing. There's a best surgeon for you. There's a best surgeon for this guy over here. Different surgeons have different skill sets that suit different patients differently. And you'll see people on different online outlets and formats saying, this guy's the best or that guy's the best. That's horseshit. There is no best. It's the best for you based on your research and your requirements and how they apply to whomever you see out there and the results that they're getting. And the guy that was asking you about that, about the are they all equal? He followed up and he says, are there doctors that have the lowest failure rate? It's impossible to quantify that because the question becomes, what is a failure? Is a failure a perfectly fine result, but the patient had bad expectations, expecting it to be fuller than what logically could be expected based on their physiology and the procedure itself? Or is it a failure because part of it didn't grow, all of it didn't grow, somewhere in between? There's really no way to quantify that in a way that can be, gauged per doctor so that you can sit there and say, oh, okay, well, this guy's got, a better success rate than this guy.
Well, I will tell you this.
You have to define it.
I will tell you this, that, there are some doctors who, based on the level, the type of complaints and the number of complaints that I have essentially had to disassociate myself with. So I would say, there have been some physicians who were part of the IAHRS, who are no longer part of the IAHRS, that have had enough consistent complaints where I had to just say, hey, look, man, and I do it quietly, but, hey, look, man, we just can't support you anymore, and I appreciate you supporting our message, but, it's something's going on in your practice. And at this stage, we just can't work with you. So, yeah, there have been physicians who are members of the IAHRS who have had what I would consider to be appreciable failure rates, greater failure rates than other doctors, but they are no longer part of what we do for that very reason.
That's a great way of putting that, because the ones that are showing an increase in complaints, I think that's important to outline. Those are the ones that are filtered out. So that's probably the only way you could say that there are doctors that have a higher failure rate than others, but like you said, they're not part of the IAHRS for very long.
And I think Richard James, you're like, LOL, WTF, the last caller. Yeah, the last caller got fucked up.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, there's
no ifs, ands, or buts. So as far as saying there's no excuse for that, we don't know what the situation actually is, except from his point of view. But judging from his point of view, that's why I wanted to speak to his doctor. I had asked him how he felt about me speaking to his doctor because I didn't want to screw up any possible chances of him getting his refund, he requested that I did not speak with his doctor until the last program.
Right.
And now I have a call into his doctor to kind of see what the situation is. And, you know, that's the way that we operate. Now, that call would have gone in a month ago or whenever he first called the program, but he expressly asked me not to speak to him.
Yeah.
So, you know, Richard, if you have any concerns, my advice is you probably shouldn't have a hair transplant. That's how I feel about it. If you are that hyper concerned about where you go and thinking that, you know, and knowing what you know, seeing that this guy has performed really good surgery for many, many years, maybe there's something happening in his practice that has shifted. That could happen in any fucking practice, the best guys in the world. And as a matter of fact, there are guys out there who are repairing other patients who have had a history or an issue in the past that has gone online. And sadly, you know, there are unhappy patients from these people who are repairing patients. That's the way that is. I'm not going to be specific. But I know there's one guy online who believes that his life has been destroyed by someone who does some of the best repairs in the world.
And this guy was actually repaired. He's far better off now than he was before he had his repair surgery. And if it's the one I'm thinking about, but he has decided to drag the repair doctor through the mud,
right?
And never talks about the original doctor that put him in the position to begin with. And that's just another issue with expectations and repair surgeries. It seems like, and I've noticed this from personal experience in dealing with patients, that a lot of times repair patients don't understand that they're not a clean slate. And I actually talked to someone, I think I said this on the last show, to a caller. He was looking at results of a clinic and asking about hairlines, and he was looking at results of hairlines that were virgin scalps, and he's a repair patient. He needed, it was the last Tuesday's show. He had hairline work that needed to be repaired, yet he's looking at all these virgin scalp one pass hair transplant results in the hairline and trying to gauge the quality of a repair surgeon on that. That's the last thing he needs to do, because it's setting his expectations to where he's going to have the result of a virgin scalp.
Guys,
that's not what he is.
And exactly. And guys who are in the chat room, call the show. So we're doing this live. We have the ability to take your calls. The phone number is 888-659-3727. And if you are in Europe, let's see if I could put up the UK line here.
The number in the UK is 0203.
There it is on the screen.
3724-683.
Yeah. Now here's the bottom line, and I want to address Tuan Vo. Is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
T's issue. He said he didn't need a hair transplant. Nobody needs a fucking hair transplant. That's the point of the show.
Yeah.
Nobody needs a hair transplant. This guy had pretty deep recession. He wanted a hair transplant. And, my advice, if I was his consultant or physician, I probably would have said, let's kind of reinforce that hairline, maybe drop it slightly, but keep that recessed, Norwood 3 to, a little bit less than a Norwood 3 hairline. And I would have been exceptionally conservative in my approach. And also, if I was a salesman, in providing this guy with realistic expectations. From what I can see, he had great donor. He had, I don't know. I don't know what the donor per square centimeter was, but he had good hair characteristics. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And in most hands, I would say, unless there was some sort of physiological issue, he should have had a better result, for sure. Here's what I didn't like. I didn't like how low the hairline was brought down. I didn't particularly like the shape of the hairline. It was very unusual for this particular doctor, in my view, from all of what I've seen over the years, for that shape to be placed. So I don't, for that hairline design to be utilized. So my question is, did he even create the recipient sites? I don't know. Was it an off day? I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I think that there was a lot of issues that basically makes me look at things with a jaundiced eye, and that's why I'm going to take the time to speak with this physician, privately, now that I have permission of the patient.
And just so you know, I did reach out to the patient to ask that question. Did the doctor make the incisions for the grafts, or was it someone else in the clinic? Because it is kind of confusing why there was such an aggressive design based on his history not having aggressive design. So I thought that was I think it's important to know. Haven't heard from him. He hasn't responded, but it's only been a day. So
yeah, and as far as just reading the chat, I don't know what do you mean that's not the point? What's the point? As far as I know, that he's addressing Tuan. Anyway,
I think I know he's talking about how Tuan's saying he didn't need a hair transplant, he only had a little bit of recession. Richard James is saying there's a difference between expectations and just an outright poor result. Absolutely there is, but what I was saying is that a lot of times there isn't a difference, because in the minds of the patient, if it's not meeting their expectations, that's a poor result.
Yeah, and that's actually the truth. But in this particular case, I can honestly say that this was just a shit result.
Yeah.
Agreed. Beyond any expectations.
And I wasn't trying to gloss over the result. I want to make that perfectly clear.
No,
it's a shit result, no question.
It's a shit result, and I am sure the physician's unhappy because for many reasons, but one reason is the guy's human, and he doesn't want to have to deal with an unhappy patient, doesn't want to have to give refunds, doesn't want to have to worry about what the ramifications are online. So I think that all the guys with the pitchforks and the torches have to realize that I would say if the physician had their druthers, they would prefer not to be, even if they're really bad at what they do, perform bad surgery and deal with unhappy patients. This is an unusual circumstance, in my view, with this particular doctor. I have seen about 3 not great scars from this guy. One is on a well-known YouTuber, and there was another one that happened before. So I don't know if there's an issue with judgment. I don't know if there's an issue with, what happens on certain days when they decide to close, when he decides to close that wound, or if he is just unlucky as far as patient selection and the physiology of certain patients that have walked through his door.
And the ratio of those that have those characteristics and they wind up going online as a YouTuber or as a complaining patient, or that alone is kind of an unusual ratio.
I've only seen 3 scars like that out of that particular practice that were presented to me. I have no idea what happens if someone doesn't contact us or if someone doesn't put it online.
Yeah.
There could be, several people out there who are walking around with, gaping donor scars that we don't even know about. And that goes for any practice. But as far as, what we see, this is what we've seen. And this is why my eyebrows raised and I'm concerned. So, here's what we offer. We offer the opportunity for people to have a liaison when they're dealing with issues like this that was never offered before in this field. And we offer people what we consider to be, and what I consider to be, a safe place to start their research. That is it. If someone is unfortunately naive enough to watch a YouTube video and make a decision based on speaking to a consultant on the phone, becoming friends with them, it's unfortunate. I understand it because we're all very desperate. We're very vulnerable. Being able to connect with somebody on that level and have them make you feel comfortable and like you're either a friend, that is, it's a very typical sales tactic. The used car salesmen do it, and hair transplant consultants do it, and cosmetic surgery consultants do it. That's the way that it is. Now, if you're going for open heart surgery, I'm not saying you would do more research. Usually what you do is you get a referral, and you go in, and you may not even ask as many questions, which I find interesting in itself.
Well, it's because we're trained to trust the man in the white coat.
Right. But because this is a commodity, or it's been commoditized,
yeah,
you really have to do your research. And you know what? If someone is ultra-friendly right away, they may be great guys. That's terrific. But what you want to do is you want to find out who this person is, and then you want to speak to patients who've dealt with them after the fact. Are they as friendly after the procedure? Are they as friendly if another patient has complained? You know, how are they going to react if you're unhappy?
Yeah.
Are they just going to cut your ass off? Because that's what happens, especially with the really friendly consultants, the overly friendly, like, I want to be your buddy. Let's hang out. I feel your pain. I've been through all the surgery. Blah 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 blah.
Call me anytime.
Yeah, and I would also tell you that, honestly, if you're going through seeing a consultant who has not a great hair transplant, it's not necessarily his fault. But I would probably really dig into that and see what happened, what went on.
Sorry, interrupt. Sorry, the U.S. number is at 1-800 or 888.
Boy, man, you guys I got to do everything. Everything. Hold on. Let me put it up on the screen for you guys. It's 888-659-3727. Yeah.
Oops.
888-659-3727 is the U.S. toll-free number. And, of course, you can call us on our local UK number. It's not local to us, but it's local to you guys in the UK. And also it's probably much less lower toll if you are anywhere else in Europe. It's 0203-3724. What is that? What are the last few numbers? 683.
683, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's tiny on my screen right now, so I have pretty good eyes for an old dude. So call in, 888-659-3727. And look, if we don't get calls, we're going to call it a day. We decided to experiment with this. We got a few people in the room. We got, a couple of dozen people watching. Actually, here's the funny thing. I don't know if I'm streaming on GFQ. I might be. So it might be more than we're seeing in Joe's room. I may have cut somebody's show off. Sorry, guys, on GFQ if I did that. But
oops.
Yeah, shit happens. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important that everyone understand that when they are doing their research, whether it's for anything in life, but especially when you're dealing with surgery, it's not like you're looking up Bluetooth speakers on Amazon. You can see 5-star reviews. Sorry, Joe. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No, I was just agreeing. It's like it's not like that at all, and that's the problem. Is it has been turned into that. We got Real Self to thank for that. We got Google reviews, Yelp, all these. They've helped to commoditize hair restoration because you can rate your hair transplant doctor just like you can the taco truck down the street.
It's fucking sick, actually. And here's what I know. There's so many fake and fucked up reviews out there, both negative and positive. And understand this, guys. If you see a doctor with all 5-star reviews or 4-star reviews, there are services out there that actually create these reviews in many cases. There was an expose recently that was aired on the BBC, and essentially these reporters or these producers were able to buy 5-star reviews on many different sites. I'm not going to name them. I don't need any shit. But on all of the review sites that you guys go to, they were able to create a fake profile, a fake physician, and this guy had incredible reviews. And they splintered in a few, shitty ones.
I remember seeing a documentary, not a documentary, but like a story about these people in the UK that wanted to test out. I don't know if it was Yelp or some sort of online review place. They actually made a fake restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a backyard of a shack.
Yeah, and they were taking
abandoned.
these great images.
Yeah.
And
it was supposed to be like this rustic,
but the food they're using like bark and all kinds of stuff, like just making fake food.
Yeah, and then they made up their own reviews.
Yeah,
and they were booked out solid for like weeks.
Yeah, it's brilliant. They didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah,
but yeah, so there's not much is different. I would say that, and look, I think And I admire the entrepreneurial. I'm an entrepreneur, but I admire the entrepreneurial spirit and the success of Real Self and what they've been able to accomplish as far as making money. And they are good at what they do, and that's fucking, that's terrific. I just wish that the physicians who are involved with sites like that would kind of set the standards and say, look, we will pay your fee, but we're unhappy with the way things run. Instead, they say, oh, this is just the way that it is. We have to become, Real Self top docs, so we're going to have our assistant answer questions on our behalf, even though patients think it's them. And we're gonna participate a lot and become a top doc. And then we're going to, worry about every fucking review that we have and make sure that if we don't have good reviews, that we pay a service to write good reviews. These motherfuckers are all complicit. And then they come to us and complain, what are we going to do? Now we're competing against all these schmucks.
Stop feeding the beast.
Yeah, you fed the fucking beast, guys. Live with it now. Let's take a call. 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Mory's Wigs from Brooklyn.
Maury, what's happening,
Mory.
man?
Not much, man. Congratulations on your award and happy birthday.
Oh, thank you so much. Are we Facebook friends? Because that would creep me out.
I don't know that we are or that we aren't.
Maury, I'm just kidding.
Okay, cool. No, I've been watching because I just happened to be sitting in front of my computer and then the notification came on. I'm like, oh. Yes. What a surprise!
That's great. So, I was surprised too. I'm dealing with a hangover today, and Joe's like, "Let's do a live show." I'm like, "All right, we'll make it happen."
Yeah, I said it just like that too.
Yeah,
I use that voice. Let's do a live show. It'll be fun.
That'll be fun, guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad that you had a good time and that you got a chance to enjoy your birthday.
Thank you.
And I hope you have many more. Your show is awesome. I try my best to catch it when it's on. I usually end up catching it after the fact because I just get home pretty late. But yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for putting it on and keeping me entertained. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. No questions really. I finished my first container of finasteride. I just went to the drugstore. I ordered a second bottle. This time I got brand. Good experience with it so far. Mid-scalp is looking a little bit better than it has. I mean, no miracles.
Now I'm curious, and I understand why you probably got brand. You want to stay as consistent as possible because they end up really switching out your generics on you without you knowing it. But what made you go for brand when you were doing well on the generic?
Listening to you guys.
All right. What generic did you have? Do you know the name of it?
It just said finasteride. It was a small round blue pill on the outside. It's a Proscar generic. So I have my pill cutter. It cut to white on the inside, so it had like a blue coating on the outside, and it was small and blue.
Yeah. Well, so you don't know where it came from, whether it was Israel, like a brand like Tiva, or it was an Indian brand.
I mean the bottle came from the pharmacy. Let me go pull it here, and I could look at it. Maybe you guys can identify it. It's like I said, it's blue. It's a light blue pill. It's got what looks like an H, I think. It looks like it's got an H in the center of it, and on one side, and then it's got a 37 on the other.
Hold on, let's see what it is. It is H07 pill imprint, blue round. Let's see, it's 5 milligrams finasteride. Let's see the company. The supplier is Hetero Drugs Limited.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where they're from. Joe, can you look that
up? I'm glad we got that out of the way. Hetero Drugs.
Let's see. Hetero Drugs Limited. Let's just see where they're from. Just out of curiosity, because you're doing well on it. So it's always good to know what a good generic is for those who are interested in generics. Hetero Drugs is an Indian pharmaceutical company. It's established in 1993. So you're getting it from India. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. So it was originally Dr. Reddy's product, which is a types of business, privately held company, which was a well-known finasteride product even before it became generic. They were essentially using he was using, from what I recall, the actual brand name, and then turning into 1 milligram dosage, and now he's actually selling his own, or he's part of this pharmaceutical company. So that's good. That's good.
Bachatero Lion in the chat room asks, how do we find out where our generic is from? Look on the box.
Well, you either look on the box or just like Morty just said, there's usually an imprint of something. So his was.
I think legal regulations state that there has to be a code stamped, and then you can just Google it, just like we did.
Yeah, it takes a second, and you can find out. And what you want to do is, if you stick to if you're on generic and you're doing well, you want to try to stick to that brand if possible. You could always ask the pharmacy if they'd be willing to provide you with that brand, or if they can get it if they do switch brands, or you can contact another pharmacy. Now, I'm letting the listeners know. I know you're on brand now, Morty, so you don't have to worry about it.
I put the request in. It's going to be arriving at the pharmacy tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes.
I'm sure it's going to go well. I mean, I've been taking brand for a very long time, and my fear is that all of a sudden Merck's going to stop producing it because it's been out for so long.
There's so much competition from generics.
Right, and I'm just going to, the next time you see me, there's going to be I'm going to be wearing like a raccoon on my head, like a raccoon pelt. But,
so, yeah, I mean, like I said, you guys already have my pictures. I know that Joe certainly has my picture. And you guys also know that I'm going to go see Dr. Carlos Wesley in June next month. I wanted to go and check out some other surgeons. It's just life's been a little too busy, so I figured I'm just going to go talk to him first. And as soon as I do, I'm going to give you guys a call and see what y'all have to say. As I said, I've been taking
let him know that we're watching, dude. Let him know that you're going to be talking about it, because he'll be on his best behavior. Now, he's a good guy anyway. I'm just sometimes it's nice that they know the spotlight's on them a little bit.
No, you know what? I'm going to use any trick in the book. I will use it, and you guys are definitely the biggest trick I have. So,
all right, man.
So I'm going to see him, see how that goes.
All right.
Well, here's a trick to use. Here's a trick to use, Morty. Put an iPhone in your pocket so that the camera's visible, and just say, the guys at the Bald Truth sent me. They're right here. Say hi.
Right.
I may just do that.
Yeah. We're streaming this consultation live, Dr. Wesley.
On the Bald Truth.
Yeah.
You know what? One thing that I was thinking about when I was looking through the IAHRS for the guys in New York, I'm beginning to realize that I may have picked him because he has the best hair.
He does have good hair.
Yeah, he's a very handsome young guy with a great head of hair, and looks
like he could be a General Hospital or something.
And
exactly.
Yeah, and he is incredibly cordial. He's really smart, and he does good work. So listen, we are human beings. That's the way that it is. You have a choice, and it comes down to feeling comfortable in someone's presence. And people usually choose. I hate to say it, but in some cases, it's they kind of glean confidence from someone who's maybe more attractive. It's fucked up, but it's the way that it is.
Yeah. I mean, I was even thinking about it because I was listening to your opening intro where the caller refers to Dr. Bernstein, and the poor guy doesn't have a hair on his head, and he's listed and he's well respected, but just part of me is, I guess it was just maybe the animal brain was like, no, don't go for him, go for the better-looking doctor.
Look, I've had a lot of guys who actually did not like his bedside manner because he's so frank. He doesn't come across as your friend. He comes across as, look, this is what we can do for you. This is what we can't do for you. And that's it. But with that said, if you can deal with that type of personality where he's not going to be holding your hand and worrying about your feelings, you're going to get the truth from this guy.
That's one of the things I think people look for too much in a doctor is they look for a doctor that's going to sit there and stroke their issue, and be this kind, listening, compassionate guy. And I understand that.
Yeah, you're not going to get that from Bob Bernstein.
It is important to be compassionate with your patients, but you have to cut the line someplace because patients shouldn't judge the quality of a clinic based on how nice the guy is, or the lady if it's a female doctor. Never judge your procedure based on how nice someone is. It comes down to the results and how they're going to treat you afterwards, for better or for worse. And if my doctor is an asshole, I don't care. I really don't care, because it's about how they're going to treat me in the OR. It's about how tightly they run their ship, and what they do after the fact if I'm not happy or if there's something that needs to be addressed. That's what's important. And when it comes to Dr. Bernstein, he understands all of this, dealing with hair loss and what patients go through. He's been doing this for so long. But I think that part of the reason why he is, I'll say, kind of blunt, is because he doesn't want to give anything other than sound medical advice as opposed to psychological advice. Because that's what it equates to.
He doesn't have time to be your friend, and that turns off a lot of people. I've over the years, people have written me or written the organization and contacted us through the program. And they're like, yeah, I was kind of turned off because he was just very, too blunt. And essentially, he basically says, look, you better learn to deal with your hair loss because I can't help you. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Of course not.
So like, he will suggest, he goes, maybe a wig is in order. And he'll actually call it a wig. That fucks with people's heads, Yeah,
that's not good. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a refreshing take.
It is refreshing. In my view, you get what you're supposed to get. You're going to get a realistic view of what can and cannot be accomplished.
That's it. Okay, well, it sounds like Bernstein might be for me, or possibly also. I'm gonna probably talk to multiple doctors. We'll see. But the thing is I'm from Brooklyn, so I could take it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you. And listen, Wesley. Look, here's the good thing about Wesley. Wesley will hold your hand, and he is a very charming guy. And he actually, he actually provides a good service, and he has a really good track record for results. Yeah. So if that's what you need, and you want to be around some handsome dude. I don't know about you, Mory, but whatever. He's your man for sure.
No. I was doing that way. Even though I take the hetero generic. Okay.
Yeah.
When you read that cracked me up. I'm like,
yeah. Well, listen. No, I mean they'd both be good choices, but you're right. I mean. You said life has gotten in the way, and he's the first guy you're going to see. See him, see some other guys. You may end up going back to him, but you just have to kind of make the assessment yourself. Sadly, what a lot of guys do is they have one consultation, they click with either the salesperson or the doctor, and that's their decision right there. They feel it in their bones that this is the guy I'm going to go to, but they haven't given anybody else a chance. So.
Cool.
All right, dude. Well, listen, I'm glad you called in. Obviously, we wish you the best of luck. Let us know what how the consultation goes. Call us.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have, first of all, congratulations again.
Thank you so much, man.
I'm glad you had a great birthday. Keep at it. I'll keep on watching.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Take
Good
care.
hearing from you again.
Take it easy.
Right.
Okay, bye.
I'm going to actually have to get Mory's wigs on my 360 because I don't feel like looking for it on YouTube. I probably have it somewhere in this, 3,000 sound clip machine that I have right here.
I'm sure you do.
But
you just don't know where.
No, I have no idea really. I mean, I could play this.
There we go. Sorry, just
it doesn't make any sense though. I should actually play this during the break.
Yeah, intermission.
Anyway.
That could be mine. I like that.
We used to be on the radio, guys. When shit like that really mattered, it was interesting to have that type of production. Now everyone wants to see you. You got to do your hair. You got to put a camera on you. It's a real pain in the ass. It was a lot easier, actually, to do a radio show.
You have a solid connection. It doesn't freeze when you get this face on your, this look on your face like.
But you're. That's a good one.
Thank you.
That was awesome, actually. But yeah, your connection's solid. Your connection's solid today, dude.
I see myself on YouTube. It's ridiculous. I changed things up. Uninstalled, reinstalled Skype, and changed some ports, and I guess that was it. So,
hey guys, call in. We have open lines. It's 888-659-3727. We will stay as long as you guys choose to call. Otherwise, I'm going to have it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so maybe I'll have a drink. It's Friday, right?
It is Friday.
So how fucked up is it if I decide to get out of the office, go down? There's a really great Italian place that has a great bar right down the block. I know the bartenders. Like, I buy one drink, they buy me one drink. So it can get ugly, but it's Friday, and I am 53. So what's the difference?
Did you go get your free dessert at Denny's?
You know what? I did not. Now, how long do I have, actually? Because if I say, like, yesterday is my birthday, can I do that?
Why not?
All right.
Say, look, I was detained.
Do you know of any free lap dance places for birthdays?
Now, you know I can't answer that.
Okay. No, I can't get a lap dance. That's the problem with my hair. Because, or I'd have to tell them, please don't touch my hair.
Wiltshire and Sunset. No, what?
Yeah, please don't touch my hair. And that's an uncomfortable thing to say to a stripper.
That just makes a lap dance useless.
So lap dances have been ruined for me many years ago, which is it's a sad story in itself. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, man, welcome. You're on the air. 631 area code. You're on the air. All right. Call back.
It was working. They're in New York. It was Dr. Bernstein.
Hey, Dr. B. 888-659-3727. We will vamp for a while. We'll talk about some shit for a while, but then we're gonna call it a day. That's how it is. When we're live, you call. When we're not, you just watch, and you can ask questions in the chat. Here's the problem with the chat, and here's the problem with just the online world in general. They're not used to picking up the phone anymore and actually calling a phone number to be on the show. They want all of their communication to be done through Twitter or through a chat or whatever it is. And that's fine. It's great that there's a chat going on. But the point is, we want you to help to provide content for other hair loss sufferers who have the same questions as you. And the only way to do that is to record those questions and to record that content. And it also comes across a lot better if these guys are able to hear the voices of other hair loss sufferers who are dealing with the exact same issues as they are. Yeah, we can read your fucking questions. And the listeners are going to say, okay, well, there's a question. They don't even know if they're real if we read them. We could just be looking at a screen, making up shit and putting it on a podcast.
We could have someone in another room typing up all these questions for you.
Yeah. We want to hear your voices, guys. And so do you.
Or it could be Russian bots.
That's true. Let's figure that out.
Duh.
Yeah. But we want to hear your voices, guys. And you know what? Your hair loss brethren want to hear from you as well. That's why we're doing this show. That's why we're doing it live. Otherwise,
FUE Europe. That's the name of the organization.
Yeah, but it's called something else too.
No, I'm looking at it right now. FUE Europe.
All right, dude. I'm telling you.
That's it.
All right.
And FUE Europe, and for the guys that don't know, FUE Europe and Dr. John Cole and Dr. Christian Bazanga, IAHRS accepted members, and on the founding board, I think founding board members of FUE Europe, gave Spencer Kobren the Lifetime Achievement Award for his major contributions to the field of follicular unit extraction, excision, whatever the hell you want to call it. Because if it wasn't for Spencer Kobren, there would be no FUE Europe. There would be no World FUE Institute. There would be no FUE research committees on the IAHRS. Because it was Spencer Kobren that pushed doctors to experiment and accept and try FUE hair transplant surgery.
And that,
so
that is the bald
out
truth,
there,
motherfuckers.
All you guys out there that are trying to say, this guy's a pioneer, this guy's that, it's all bullshit. It doesn't matter because none of it would have happened if it wasn't for this guy. Am I pointing the right way? Let's see. Yes, for this guy.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think what is really important is that, and this is not to be modest because I am anything but modest. If it wasn't for me, FUE would not exist. Some of the assholes out there who've been repaired that are still online busting my balls, like this one guy who's about my age who fucked up his head years ago, he would not have been repaired. And he would not have lived, he would not be in the position that he's in right now to go online and bash you and bash other people and bash people in the industry. He would not have been able to move on with his life with a repair surgery if it were not for me.
Oh.
How's that?
I wasn't, it took me a moment to remember who you're talking about. He hasn't moved on.
Oh, he hasn't moved on. No,
that's not a great analogy, but yeah, I know what you're saying though.
No, it actually is a good analogy. He has not moved on. That's the point.
Or yeah, and
but he wouldn't have looked normal.
But he wouldn't have been able to find the.
He wouldn't have been repaired.
The old world European artisan,
right?
That hand selects finely tuned individual grafts to delicately cradle them into his recipient. I joke about that because this guy talks about how, if you do everything by hand, that's obviously better, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. Most of you guys have no idea, but
no. But I mean, he does like eggs. 888-659-3727.
And chickens.
Let's see who this is. Hey man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Larry from Buffalo. How you doing, guys?
Hey, Larry. Welcome to the show, man. What's up?
Well, I've been listening, lurking, I guess, for a while, so got to drop my stuff on you here. So I'm going to be 49 in September.
Oh, shit, man. It's all down.
It'll be in October.
It's all downhill from there.
Dude, I knew this already. It's just going more downhill, I guess.
Dude, I just turned 53. You know what? I don't feel better than ever, but I feel pretty good.
I can't see the 5 number making that much of a difference. I think the 4 number made a big enough difference to realize the shit from the 30s is over.
Well, let me tell you something. The 5 number,
a different way to enjoy it.
The 5 number made no difference to me, but the 5-3 number made me get drunk last night. So, because that is
calling you and keeping you from getting drunk right now, I guess.
No, and I'm glad that you are calling, but and believe me, you're not keeping me from getting drunk. I got a fridge underneath my thing right here. So, but that's actually not true. Someone said that though. All of the stuff that's on my left side, that's all of my equipment, and I'm not talking about in the biblical sense. I'm talking about my actual radio equipment. A lot of people just think that there's some sort of a desk with a mixer here. I have an old school radio setup so that I can go up on satellite like I used to from my studio and do an actual radio show. And I still have it.
To go.
This is like legacy shit. You don't need all this equipment anymore to actually do a broadcast like this, but I have it, so I use it. But anyway, to get back to your point, and then I'll let you ask your question, 2 years away from 55 fucked me up emotionally a little bit. On one side, on one end, I'm like, I was speaking to my shrink about this. You know what? I still have my fucking hair, or a lot of it. I have enough hair where I'm able to actually look like I have a decent looking head of hair.
Right.
So that's a big thing. But on the other end, I'm 7 years away from 60. And that fucks me up. So anyway, welcome to 40. Welcome to being almost 50.
Now that it's all cheery and wonderful now, I'm in a great mood now.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring down the room.
And now I got to talk about my hair loss.
Yeah.
That'll get me right in a greater mood.
Well, look, you know what?
How's your love life?
That's life, yeah.
So anyway, I'm 5 strip surgeries in.
Holy
respect.
Shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, tell me. So
you crossed into the club.
Yeah, I'm in the Joe Buck and you, Joe. It's all guys named Joe, I think 7 and up, I think, right?
There you go, exactly.
So when did you start? Tell us your story.
Okay, so I started 97.
I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping this is a good story.
Yeah. No, it's a lot better than it might sound.
Yeah.
Because I know what's going through your heads.
Actually, there's absolutely nothing going through my head today, sadly. But go ahead.
So I started early, like it was just coming on. You know, you've heard it before, freaks out. You know, so thankfully I had the financial means and started getting these things done as it was leaving and before Propecia and everything. And so I got up to like 4 or 5 before I was like 35, I think.
Okay.
And they weren't huge ones. They were just more like it keeps going, let's do it. And then thankfully, Propecia came out and leveled me off. And I've been, like, people have never known or anything. I mean, I've got to wear longer hair in the back from all the fucking stripes and whatever. But
how many scars do you have?
Wood,
I'm assuming that after 5 surgeries, especially starting in '97, you probably have several donor scars.
I have at least 2. I'm hoping it's only 2. It may be 3. I'm not even sure, and I'm afraid to find out. Actually, spoiler alert: I've got a consultation with Dr. Cooley next month, and that's where I'll be, assessing that stuff.
Well, you know that he makes you shave your head just for the consultation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I know you are. I've done more fucking research on that.
Yeah, you probably know more than us.
Oh man, and it doesn't help. I'm a computer pro, so I know how to search things really, really well.
Wow, that's
with an OCD tendency. It's not a good combo.
No, it's not. But at least you also being in the position that you're in, you understand what's real and what's fake online, probably. So that's good.
Oh, totally. And as everybody knows, we didn't have anywhere near this kind of stuff in '97 to even, it was like, grab the sports page. Holy shit, there's an ad. It's like, there's my resources, that in the phone book.
Yeah.
But fast forward now, I've been really lucky with the way things have worked out. Not to give you my medical history, but I've had prostate problems along the way. And so the years I've actually been on finasteride with no side effects, and it's really, really, really worked well.
That's awesome.
But
good.
Yeah, but we get to the point where, and I've been kind of thinking as I've been getting older, like somewhere around 50, I may want to talk about this again. But quite frankly, it was such a shitty experience, and somehow I kind of made it to this point that it was almost like I don't even want to deal with it again. It's like it was like a bad memory, So fast forward.
You mean going through the transplants?
Well, yes, and then also all of a sudden coming to the realization, there's more hair loss coming. I'm not where I want to be. It starts. There's stuff still falling out slowly, but there is, and it's starting to show a little. And I'm obviously my worst critic, but. And I'm at that point where I think I need to talk, but it's also one of these things of how much can I really say is left? How, is what's going on? Is it really, because I'm almost at that thing of because worrying about the hair loss again, I feel like I'm fucking 25 again. Unfortunately, not young, but just holy shit, it's really bothering me again.
Of course. Yeah.
I've been staring in the mirror, I'm sure like you guys, holy shit, I can't believe I got it to this.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go again. It's it's not where I want it to be. But now I got a lot less, shit to play with back there so I'm really, really nervous.
Well, here's the thing.
It's got the anxiety fucking.
Here's the thing, and I don't mean to cut you off, but rarely do people actually cross that finish line permanently when it comes to hair loss and hair transplantation, meaning that, there are some guys who eventually, as they get older, become more equipped or better equipped to deal with it. So in a sense, they're crossing a finish line. But as far as, I would say most people, especially if you've undergone so many surgeries, it was your goal to be finished with this shit, to move on with your life. And now that you've had all these years of being able to exist and live your life and go live in the world with a good head of hair, and that is now you're faced with the possibility of it not being there anymore or as good,
and also not letting strippers touch it too, which that sucked. I gotta admit that That was never a good thing.
You
either
see
in the
that?
last
I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one.
No,
My
and massages
my
too.
question
That's
to
always
you
weird.
is,
You ever get a
before you
massage?
continue,
Oh, yeah.
Does what you have now look natural?
Yes, I can still pull it off, but it's getting close. You know what I mean? It's like there's some key hairs missing in the front that if things don't go in the right angle, like anybody who's had a hair transplant would go, yeah, you better go talk to somebody. So, but it's that point of like, what am I going to get to a point where, like it almost feels like, should I go the other way on this? You know what I mean? And I'm really, believe me, if I know without photos, you guys don't have anything to go on, but I right now today, I like you said, I think Spencer is like, I'm happy with, for my age, what I have and all that, it's like, but it seems to be going in the wrong direction.
Well,
and, I think a lot of this too is I just haven't had these shitty fears in a long, in years now. And like,
well, the fear's real. And listen, every day, and this goes for anything in life, we don't know what we're going to, what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know if there's going to be tomorrow. I could wake up, and I always say this, and not feel well, and all of a sudden go to a doctor, and you got like, you're diagnosed with like stage 4 terminal cancer. So, but when it comes to hair loss, because we've all experienced it, there's always this little thing in the back of our minds that kind of sets off the anxiety alarm. And if you start to think about it again, you're right. You kind of go back to that place where you were when you were initially dealing with it, and it fucking sucks. It's hard to control, but it's very real. It's not a phobia. It's not. It's an honest. What's the word I'm looking for? It's
reaction,
an honest reaction. Thank you for that, by the way. I'm hungover, but it's an
the
honest
crazy part
reaction. Go ahead.
Is I'm at a quandary because my brain is, I'm an older, like, you're streetwise, you just better, you're like, okay, I get it. I'm 50 now. So if I had a little hair loss, what's the big deal? But it's more of like, I don't want to look unnatural. You know what I mean? I just don't want to look like, what the fuck is that?
Well, what's the definition of natural to you? Having a full head of hair or making it look like you've never had a hair transplant?
No.
Because they're two entirely different things.
I get it. I don't want to be Frankie Avalon with this, weird hairline that,
By the way, you are old. If you mention Frankie Avalon, you just dated yourself.
Right.
You're done, man. You just lost. You definitely dated yourself.
Well, so here's my whole point, because without pictures, I know there's really not much we can really, as far as an idea, but I guess kind of like in the idea of fantasy football, who are your top 5 surgeons that you say would be good to go to in a guy that's had multiple surgeries, really, because I went and saw Bernstein, and that's why I kind of called in. And, and I agreed with your assessment of his demeanor in that.
Did he hold your hand?
No.
Did you go for a walk in the park?
And I dressed up nice.
Okay, all right.
Nor did I care. But no, but the thing I brought up FUE, and he was just very curt and like, no, absolutely not. Like, you've already kind of thinned out back there, but it's also too of like, all right, I've had 5 hacks back there.
But you know that he makes more. He makes
guy.
You know that he makes more money if he does FUE on you, right?
I figured with that robot, which, but here I am now again. It's like I went through all these, older procedures, and it's like, well, the idea that, maybe we don't have to take this whole hunk of strip and this big thing. It sounded, like the idea.
But I will tell you that it's just so you know, it's easier for him and for his staff, and it's also, well, I don't know if it's easier because the staff has been doing this for so long, but it's an easier procedure right now because he is utilizing the robot. And well, let's put it this way: he'd make a hell of a lot more money if he was able to talk you into FUE, and it is easier in my view. So I think he's giving you really good advice because he's willing to make less money, and he just thinks that you're a better candidate right now for strip. But I understand what you're about to say because I cut you off. You have had 5 strips. You know what it's like to recover from strip surgery, and you are hoping that you can go in and kind of make small corrections or add some more hair via FUE, have less downtime, and just have a more comfortable experience. So I understand that. I certainly understand that. There are doctors out there who might think you make a better candidate for FUE. There are doctors out there who are doing FUE by hand, where he may think that the robot may not be the best bet for you right now, and that's why he's also partial to strip for you. So you need to speak to somebody.
Yeah, I agreed with his assessment.
Yeah.
I guess the thing I'm more just, for how much work I've had done back there, I really want to feel somebody went their most and, really looked back there and did their homework and about what would be the best thing. And I hate to say, I probably should have asked more questions to him, but I was also, I paid him a good amount, and I probably wasn't ready with the questions, but I also kind of wanted to see how much he would tell me too. And the fact that he didn't really throw much in the way of information or anything, it didn't make me feel he was the guy. And so I'm still looking. And again, it's not a knock. It's, like I said, I did think he was absolutely.
You gotta feel good, man. If you pay for your consultation, you felt that you didn't get not necessarily a hand holding, but enough of an explanation, enough of a picture drawn for your particular situation, then you got to go with your gut. You got to move on and see who else. I would tell you that a lot of the other guys, IAHRS members especially, are going to have give you a similar assessment, except for those who actually do FUE by hand. They may kind of be a little bit more, have a little bit more of a broad assessment. They probably will say strip is your best bet right now because you've already had so many strips. However, we can do FUE, but we're going to have to do less grafts and so on and so forth. So in your case, I would definitely see someone who really does FUE day in and day out by hand and see what they have to say as well.
Okay. As far as doctors, is that, I don't watch your show that much. Is that something you guys can feel free to say something, like give me some ideas? Or
I could feel free to say whatever the fuck I want. And, and this is what I would say. Are you willing to travel? And where in New York are you? You're in Buffalo?
Yes. So
Okay.
Here's the thing. I don't care. I don't want to sound like, I'm not worried about the price as much as it obviously being the right guy, the right procedure. I don't care if it's multiple sleep procedures, if that's the right, I want the right plan, the right guy, with the future in mind of, okay, so we do this now. What are we thinking in 5 years if I come back, or, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't mind the travel, but I will say the idea of, like, obviously I've heard of like the Hassan and Wong guys that, have just glowing reputations, but the idea of flying across the country with a bandage around my head just sounds really shitty.
Yeah, it's certainly not ideal for a lot of people. And I'll let Joe speak to this because he has the experience.
Well, I was just going to say, like, back to Dr. Bernstein, I think that, like what Spencer said, it's important to feel comfortable with what you're being told and the approach that's being recommended. You may find that after you, and this is why it's important to have multiple consultations with different doctors, you may find that you might circle back and realize he was right. Or I do feel, after talking to these other doctors, I feel better about what Dr. B told me. That can happen with any number of consultations you go to, because as you continue to get this personal one-on-one experience with various doctors, you start to get a handle for what seems to make sense based on what you feel your characteristics present and with what your goals are. And it depends on how they explain it, obviously, but it's a valuable process, and that's why we always recommend that you have that you have consultations with as many doctors as possible. Regarding the travel with being bandaged up, Hassan Wong and dozens of clinics that do great strip surgery and FUE surgery have patients flying in from all over the world, and it's a non-issue, really. It's very rare that I've heard of issues when a patient's traveling halfway around the world back to wherever they came from, even the day after surgery.
But you will set off the metal detectors with the staples.
I have never.
I'm just kidding.
It never happened.
No.
I've had that question so many times.
It's just more like I just after those things are done, it's like I don't want to be around.
When you go through
go
through those machines, people are seeing the outline, or they're actually seeing your cock. What's the difference? You know?
Is that why they're laughing?
That's right. That's why they're laughing at me. I don't know.
Before I go through there next time.
Well, what do you say? Put a salami down there before you go through?
Work up a semi.
Oh, a semi, yeah.
A semi.
A chubber.
Yeah.
A chubby.
I actually always try to get a little blood in there before I go through that thing.
Just holds his breath and pushes.
Right. Give him something.
Yeah.
So names, like if you're me, who are the guys on your top list?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, to be honest with you, because you have a very specific reason why you want to have multiple consultations. I would normally say go to everybody who's listed in New York and maybe the tri-state area and get an assessment. But you agree with what Dr. Bernstein said to you. You just want to feel a little bit better about the consultation and see if you actually might make a candidate for FUE. And Dr. B says that you do not. So with that said, I know that Dr. Wesley in New York is doing FUE himself, and he may give you a different assessment. I know that Dr. Doran and Dr. True are both doing FUE using a motorized tool. So that may be, those are two guys that you can see and kind of get there and get an idea. As far as saying who is the best, that's a hard call, man. I can't say it because these guys are all...
No, I don't mean it like who's the best, but who would you trust with that kind of, I guess, like I read on the Joe, your website, like the doctors that you think come across the most ethical for their patients, that would give the best advice for a tough situation.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to let Joe answer that. I mean, Joe is limited by a lot of things, and one is he has to be able to take the time, visit clinics, and also, there are other limitations based on the type of work that he does, where he's not going to have this huge list of physicians.
Sure.
He also wants to
be able to water it down if there was. Right.
He also wants to be able to just say, hey, you know what? I would have surgery with this guy. So he has a different protocol. With that said, I think Joe should help you answer. Help with this answer because.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, motherfucker.
I didn't hear the question. What was the question?
Go ahead.
So just which doctors that you come to your mind for a situation where somebody's had multiple surgeries in the past, would you think would be a good place to start?
I get this question all the time. Which doctor do you work with is the best for me? This is something. It's like I can't go beyond presenting the list of doctors I work with, because I would have surgery with any one of them myself, and and I'm similar situation to you. I've had more surgeries than most people on the planet. Any one of them would do a great job for me based on what I know about their individual practices, what I've seen in their clinics, or what I've seen from their patients, and all this research I do about how they do things. I think it's also important to note that when you're looking at these guys, every one of them are IAHRS accepted members. That's a baseline of acceptance that I have because of the high standards that 500 surgeries just to be looked at. That's pretty impressive, among other things. But when it comes to who I work with, I've done the legwork to bring you to these doctors. So I think that, and this is what I tell everyone, it's up to you to pick up the mantle and pick from this small group. Consult with all of them. You don't necessarily have to go to them. I mean, that's a lot of travel, but if you can take the time and you have the means to do so, then go for it. Four are in North America alone. You got Dr. Bobak, LA. You got Dr. Arocha in Houston, Dr. Cooley, whom you are seeing in Charlotte. He's a great one, and Dr. Shapiro in Minneapolis. If you want to hop over on the other side of the pond, you've got Dr. Ball in the UK, and then you got Dr. Lopenzula in Brussels. All of them do great repair work, and that's. It almost sounds like a cop-out, but I mean, it's true. It's like I believe in these guys.
Get it. I understand. Like everybody who goes through this shit, you're just hoping somebody can give you some magic.
Here's the thing.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
If you send Joe a PayPal, he'll help you on the down low. So no, but
just the last four of your credit card.
Yeah, and your social, just in case. But no, but
in case we get disconnected,
right? but in all honesty, it's very difficult, and that's one thing that I never wanted to do. And I have gotten shit for this from physicians who are part of the IAHRS. The one thing that I never wanted to do is push or sell surgery or say, you know what, here's an online consultation. I never wanted physicians to feel that we were providing them with leads. I just wanted them to be a part of what we're doing so they can support what we do. And also, if people were doing the research, at least we were providing a safe place for them to start. That was it. I actually still get shit to this day about leads by certain people, they're struggling for whatever reason. And also people who are applying to the organization. Sometimes the first thing they ask is, well, so-and-so at some other network claims that we're going to get these many leads per month. How many leads can you promise? And I'm like, 0, motherfucker. You have applied to the wrong organization. So I guess the point is, I think Joe feels a little uncomfortable also just saying, hey, even though these are doctors that I would have surgery with, to give a specific recommendation on a specific case is a lot of pressure. And it's also unfair, I think, to the prospective patient, because then they're putting all of their they're kind of allowing someone else to do all of their research.
Right.
They're not really getting the assessment for themselves.
Yeah, and that lines with what you're saying. People are, kind of hoping that someone with a little bit more knowledge than they have will say, you need to go here, and help them validate their decisions. I think that as long as look, IAHRS, it's a great place to start. Hair Transplant Mentor, another great place to start. You're doing that, right? You're looking at the doctors that we both, obviously we both feel are extremely qualified. You're going to see I think you said you're going to go see Dr. Cooley next month, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Great doctor for this kind of, approach. I mean, as with anything.
I'm feeling optimistic with him. I just, obviously again, there's gobs of videos and testimonials and whatever. And, I'd like to think I'm hopefully pretty good at reading through the BS crap and getting to the chase of it. And he seems like, I don't know, I'm pretty optimistic. I went to see another guy in Toronto, because actually, I'm sure you're not aware, but Buffalo is right on the border of Canada. So Toronto is actually about an hour and a half ride, and New York City is actually about 8 hours away.
Sure.
So
I'm very familiar with upstate.
Oh,
I'm from New York.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody thinks Buffalo. Oh, you must get to Manhattan all the time. Not exactly.
No, I had a guy who eventually became the co-host of my program when I was on the radio, Dave Salazzo, who actually lived in Syracuse, and he was sending his resume, contacting us, calling the show every week, and all he wanted to do was intern for the Bald Truth for free, willing to drive to Buffalo and then take a train, to Albany, and then take a train from Albany to Manhattan just to do the show, get there at 11 o'clock at night when we were on WNEW in New York, and then he would just take the train back to his car in Albany and drive to Syracuse. That's like a 5-hour train ride, and then it's a how many hour drive. So anyway, so I kind of...
That's dedication.
Yeah, that's dedication. So I understand where you are. Go ahead. Sorry, man.
Well, so I went to see this. He was the first guy I went to go see, and Dr. Robert Jones, I don't know if outside of Toronto. And, the thing with him was I don't want to sound like I'm bad mouthing, just a personal opinion, but it was almost like when I brought up FUE, he just kind of let me talk him into it pretty easily. And all of a sudden he just kind of wrote the number and, okay, we'll do that instead if that's what you want. And it was like, okay, wait a minute. But I got all this crap on the back of my head. That just seemed way too easy to kind of sway that conversation. So
I think that you, I don't know, you have good instincts. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm nervous as shit. Like I said, there's way too much information now that I never used to have. So I don't want to screw this up.
No, listen, and there is a lot more information to have to reconcile and kind of figure out where you stand. But it seems like you're making good decisions. You obviously had good instincts when you went up to Toronto. I think that going to see Dr. Cooley is it's a good move. I'm glad that you had a consultation with Dr. Bernstein so that you can have an idea of where he stands. And again, he's very appropriate. I used to say conservative. He actually said he didn't like the suggestion that I was conservative, that he thinks that what he does is appropriate for patients. And that does make sense. But he does have a reputation for just kind of being very matter of fact. Again, like I explained to the other caller, and that could turn some people off, especially if you're paying for a consultation. But I think Joe may be right. You may come back after a few consultations and say, well, Bernstein's close enough. At least he's in my state, and it may work out for you. Or you may end up going to Dr. Cooley, who's great.
Yep.
He's really good at what he does, and he really cares, and he may be a little bit easier to talk to for you.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little bit more free-flowing advice from that side of, like, hey, you know what, we can go in there. Here, we're looking at your scars. This one's wide on this side. We could take this one in particular. It's just, I didn't get that from, and that's what I'm kind of hoping to get, is a little bit more insight of, all right, what are we up against? Here's the options. Here's all of them. And, here's what I think.
What you're looking for is you're looking for creativity in dealing with your issue.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm looking for, of like, okay, please just, and especially with Bernstein, I hate to say it, but, for a couple $100, it's like, at least keep me there for 10 minutes or put some little thing on my head that shows a picture of hairs on the computer, like on the website or something. So it was just like, all right, clearly with my history, I would just have expected a little bit more there. And then in Toronto, like I said, that was like, okay, thanks a lot. And, get back to you.
Yeah,
but
I understand that, and maybe
more creative.
Maybe Bob should hear this air check. This and kind of understand what what some people may feel more comfortable dealing with when they're walking in for a consultation. Listen, he's a busy guy. I understand that. I understand how you feel, and I would probably feel the same way. But with that said, it really doesn't take away from his skill set. And Joe's right. I mean. You have to kind of figure it out.
No, at the end of the day, I don't have to like them, right? I don't have to want to have a beer with them. No, it's absolutely fine. But it's more of just, I say, just.
And I have had a beer with him, and he's actually a good guy to have a beer with.
Eventually,
yeah. So well, listen, we're going to take some other calls, but let us know.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh no, you got it.
Yeah, no, thanks for calling.
Let us know how you fare with Dr. Cooley. And we're on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're probably going to do Fridays on a regular basis or maybe Thursdays. It really depends on you guys. Right now the room looks pretty busy, and we're getting calls, so maybe this is a good day to do another show. But let us know what you do. Do not jump into anything, obviously. I know that you won't. So
will do.
All right,
guys.
Man.
Thank you so much for your time again. Sorry it's a little long-winded, but appreciate it.
No, it's all good, man.
It's
Thanks
great,
for calling.
Man. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hello?
This is Morgan.
Who is this?
My name's Morgan.
Morgan, how are you, man? Your phone is dropping out a little bit.
I wasn't right. Let me take it off speaker. It's probably speaker.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yes, it is. Morgan, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Oregon.
Okay, welcome, man.
Right on.
Yeah, thanks.
what can I
I
help
just
you
found
with?
your guys' show I just found your guys' show like a week ago, and I've listened to, I don't know, like a handful of your guys' podcasts, whatever you guys call them. But anyway, I'm 33, and I've been losing hair, like on the crown of my head since I was about 30. Been using minoxidil. And I know you guys were talking about FUE transplants and all that stuff, so I hope you don't mind if I switch topics for a second.
No,
No.
go ahead.
Okay.
Dude, this show is a free.
Anyway,
this show's a fucking free for all, man. You could ask us anything.
All right. Anyway, I tried some. I was interested in finasteride, and I tried some generic stuff. And man, I only made it like 2 days on there, and I just got like I got brain fog from it just like right away. And I literally noticed it within probably an hour.
I'm sorry. Were you saying something? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No. I've been on finasteride for over 20 years.
You got me, man.
Yeah.
You got me.
Mother, is that you? Mother?
Yeah. But anyway, it just totally scared me away from it, and I wasn't, I listened to some of your talk about, generic versus brand name, and you guys are obviously very pro brand name, and I was just thinking about, man, should I try it again with brand name, or do you think that's like a definite warning sign, like that I shouldn't do it, or what do you guys think?
That's absolutely a tough call. And it really could be, listen, I mean, the active drug, finasteride, there is a group of individuals who talk about brain fog. It was not something that was ever seen in the clinical data or clinical trials for either Proscar or Propecia. However, once it was presented to Merck and there were complaints about it, they obviously have to put it into the insert. So that is now listed as a potential side effect. I haven't really spoken to that many people who've suffered with it. So, but I'm not saying that you didn't. Now, it's also possible that whatever fillers are in that particular generic, mixed with the active drug or the active agent, could have caused that effect as well. So I don't think it's the end of the world, especially if you didn't have any severe side effects, and talk to your doctor about this, to consider using brand, give it a shot, and see how you feel. Because you may have a completely different reaction, and that may be something that you don't deal with. But it's something you need to, we're not physicians, but it's definitely something you need to talk to your doctor about. But if you're obviously concerned about your hair loss, you had no adverse sexual side effects, I'm assuming that your brain fog went away once you stopped taking the drug, right?
Yeah, it did, and I didn't use it. I mean, we're talking about like a week that I used it. I tried to power through it, but it just kept coming back, and it was it was definite and it was immediate for me, at least. Like I felt like there was a disconnect between my tongue and my brain. Like I found it hard to find my words sometimes, and I don't know. In general, I kind of felt like I was stoned or something.
Was this around women?
No, this is just me trying to
being a guy,
work
dude.
at work and things like that. And every time I took it, it lasted about 24 hours, like every time, and then it would go away.
And it's interesting. It
after I stopped.
No, I've had that. I don't. Yeah. It's definitely for me. It's not finasteride induced. I'm aware of, but I've had that. Whether it's I'm super hungover or, and that's one of the worst things in the world when you cannot find your words. If you can't express yourself or the way in which you're used to expressing yourself, it's frustrating. So I could see that that's a pretty significant thing. I think that since you saw that as reversible and since you had no sexual side effects, and you only took it for
I didn't have any.
You only took it for a few days.
Yeah.
I don't think, again, and this is just my logic, I'm not a physician, so talk to your doctor about it. I don't think there's any harm in giving it a shot, especially since you're concerned about your hair loss, and brand name may do the trick for you.
Yeah, and I read a couple of other posts on different forums that other people that had experienced the same thing with kind of the brain fog right away. When they did switch to brand name Propecia, that helped them too. So I was just, I saw you guys and thought I'd give you a call and see what your thoughts on it were as well.
Absolutely.
So I'll probably end up giving it a try.
It's something like I said, people have suffered from, and we're really glad that you called in, because it's nice to have new viewers. I mean, you just found us. That's great. After you try this, let us know. Call us back and let us know if there's any difference.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna give it a try. Because I don't think that it's gonna be something that's I'll know right away whether or not it's gonna work for me. Like based on my last experience, because it happened.
Well, you're one of the few people that can, because few people have such an immediate response with any medication of this type. So it's very interesting. Or it will be very interesting to see how this turns out for you. So do keep us updated.
Yeah, I noticed. Just while we're on the topic, I noticed that my sleep didn't seem as good either. Like I didn't wake up feeling as rested too. And I was trying to be like a little bit objective about it. So like I wasn't drinking or anything like that during the time. I wasn't taking any other medications that could. All in all, I'm like a really healthy guy.
That actually could have been part of the problem. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I think that's actually really smart. A lot of guys, they're not going to actually change their lifestyle. They're going to continue to say they're used to going to the bar every night or whatever. They would just continue with that stuff. The fact that you are just isolating, using this drug, you're not using it with anything else. It's really important, and I wish more guys would do that, so that they can see and assess whether or not they are experiencing real side effects. So it seems to me that whatever you experience is probably very real.
Yeah.
So I
think it was. And to be honest with you, I mean I knew about all the other stuff, but I didn't even really know about the brain fog. I knew depression was an option, but this definitely I wasn't depressed. This wasn't I wasn't sad for myself. This was just.
It's just a disconnect. You're just like, did I just do that?
Yeah, I feel.
Do we have this conversation?
Change and I can't. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, one other thing. I felt like it affected my peripheral vision a little bit. Like I felt like maybe things were slightly delayed, or maybe my peripheral vision wasn't quite as good. But I mean, that's that was just my experience. I'm just trying to do my best.
It's not like you're flying planes or anything, right?
No. I work from home most days. So
you're not a crossing guard at a school, are you?
That's
no.
Okay. Right.
Nope.
Well, no. I would think this is going to be interesting to see whether or not you do experience any adverse side effects once you go on brand. And I think it's important. I'm glad that you called, like Joe said, for other listeners to hear this and know that they're not alone, and that maybe if they're experiencing these side effects on generic and they switch to brand, if it's positive for you, that they may have a positive experience also. So let us know, man.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, I'll definitely call you guys back once I get hooked up with a prescription for brand and do it, because like I said, I really do want to try it, but I felt like last time I just wasn't able to give it an honest shake just because like I couldn't make it past the first week because I was having those immediate side effects. So I will let you know what it does to me, and I'm definitely going to give it a try, because at this point I'm not really scared of trying it for a week because I've already done it, and as soon as I got off it, there was no lasting problems at all. So
that's good. That's good. And just let us know. And are you saying is your regular physician willing to prescribe brand?
I haven't talked to him about it. I got it from my dermatologist last time. Okay. So, and I didn't really know, at the time I didn't know enough to ask for finasteride or Propecia. And then, I started doing some more research after I had those immediate effects, and I started listening to you guys. And I was like, that kind of makes sense. Maybe I'll look into that and give that a try. So
now here's the thing that you should also know. So, I know you got to go, and and we're going to take another call. But before you go, I want you to know that a lot of times side effects can be transient. So sadly, if you kind of jump off right away when you experience the side effects, it's possible that those side effects would have diminished or gone away completely if you stayed on the drug. So consider that as well.
Right, and that's the other thing. That definitely could have been the case, and I wondered that myself. But I was just, I was new to it, and I was like, well, I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't make me feel weird, then maybe I'll continue on with it. Was kind of my thing, but it just made me immediately feel weird, and and I tried, like I said, I tried it for about a week, and I just, it didn't diminish within the week, and I was just like,
I hear you.
Boy, I don't know.
Well, listen, that's logical and it's a smart move as well. But I just wanted to put that out there, just in case, like, if you really want to see if this works for you. If you experience any adverse side effects right away, talk to your doctor about maybe giving it a few more days if you can deal with it. But if you can't, then, you got to move on. And that's it.
Right.
So,
right.
All right, dude. Listen, good luck. Thanks for the call, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
A lot.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
Joe made me feel weird, like, within minutes when I first saw him, too. So... But that's a different story.
That's a whole different story.
All right, guys.
Chicks with cranks.
Yeah, if we get another call or two, we'll stay on for a little bit while longer. Otherwise, we're going to call it a day. But this was a very good impromptu show. I think it was a success, Joe.
I think so as well. We had great calls, consistent calls, and lots of activity in the chat room. And Jay Jones, welcome. He goes, wow, I didn't know there was going to be a show. Well, that's why it's called impromptu.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, if you want us to stay on for a little while longer, Joe, what's your schedule like? What do you got to do
today?
Yeah,
take a nap.
All right. Well, if you want us to stay on the air for a little bit longer, give us a call and we'll take your calls. It's 888-659-3727 in the U.S. and the UK line is 0203-2724. Jesus, 683. So you can call us throughout Europe and the UK on that line. And, of course, toll-free here in the U.S., 888-659-3727. Before we close up shop, if we don't get any more calls, Joe, is there anything that you wanted to, and no pressure, by the way, anything you wanted to address while we're live?
Was there anything I wanted to address? Was there?
Because here's the thing about the way we're doing it now. This shit goes right on YouTube, so everything that comes out of our mouth is out there in perpetuity. Whereas before, I would edit the show after I would call somebody a motherfucker or a scumbag. Now that's out there forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, there's so much going on that, it's just a continuation.
All right, so you got nothing. We got a call, though.
Yeah, I got nothing. Oh, we got a call? Let's do that one.
All right, let's do it. 888-659-3727. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Dave from Liverpool in the UK.
Dave, where in the UK?
In Liverpool.
Hey, Dave, how are you, man? Home of the Beatles.
Yeah,
everyone says that to you all the time.
I'm probably one of the only people from Liverpool who doesn't like the Beatles, but there we go.
Yeah, but how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, well, that could be why.
Yeah, a little bit, but they get overplayed as well for me, but there we go.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
I sent Joe an email about part of my story. It was with regards finasteride, and my situation was that I was taking it for about 4 years, and then I switched from a certain brand, and I got like a bit of gyno, and it was about like what I should do with regards, lowering the dose or changing brands, and I've actually started to take that supplement called turmeric with black pepper extract, and it seems to be working for me. I seem to be getting a lot less inflammation, which I'm really pleased about, but it's happening quite quickly, which I'm also pleased about.
Very good.
All right, so what's the situation now? Besides, so you switch from one brand to another, or to a generic to a brand. Was that it?
Initially, I was on Merck Proscar, and I was cutting it into fourths, and that was working fine for me. But then I went to India and had my third hair transplant. So when I was over in India, they offered me a 2-year supply of 1 milligram tablets, which I took for 2 years. So then from that, I went back to, I had a friend who was living in Spain who could get hold of, should I say, Proscar. So he sent me that. That's the batch I was taking. He sent me them, which again was 5 milligrams. So I was putting them into 4. And I was starting to get, then I started to get side effects with regard to the gyno. So I went with the email I sent to Joe. I was just discussing about what I should do with regards to go back to a brand that worked for me before, or should I lower the dose right the way down.
Well,
so now
I think that Joe did Joe answer you?
Well, Joe, initially in the email, I don't think I was as clear enough as in how long I've been on finasteride for.
Yeah, we were talking a week ago.
Yeah.
And last email was one I sent to you on 6 days ago, where I gave you the number for the show because I wanted you to call in about your story.
Yeah.
All right, so Joe, answer the poor guy's question. Come on, don't make him. Keep him hanging here.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the question is. It's like
the question is, from what I gather, the question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, caller. The question is, you're currently using a brand of finasteride that has caused you gyno, and you're wondering whether or not you should lower the dose of that current brand, of the brand that you're on now, or go back to a brand that you were having success with. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I first emailed you, I mean, my biggest fear is low. I mean, I've been taking it for 4 years, and it's working. It's been working great for me. So it was, the fear of lowering the dose was massive for me, really, because obviously you
I know. Okay, so what was going on was he was telling me that he was taking the medication, was having the side effects, and my normal response is, well, cut back and reintroduce it into your system on that graduated schedule that I came up with. Once a week for a month, then twice a week for a month, then 3 times a week for a month, so on and so forth. And Dave's concern was, well, I've been taking it for 4 years. Won't that kind of potentially set me backward? And that's a great question, and there is a potential for that. But the issue is finding a balance to your intake while reducing your side effects. And I'm not a fan of taking one medication to offset the side effects of another medication. That's a Band-Aid for a Band-Aid, and that can just kind of lead to making you a slave of even more and more medications, because before you know it, you're taking 17 medications for all the different side effects that the previous one gives you. Not a big fan of that. But you're saying that you are taking something to help with the gyno, and if I heard you correctly, you're saying that did help. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And, it seems to be helping. Yeah.
And you've been doing this for how long now?
It's been, to be honest, I've only been taking it for about 2 weeks, and it's I don't even know to say the last 4 or 5 days. I've noticed it's gone smaller, and it doesn't feel as sore, so which is obviously really positive.
No, absolutely. So, now, is this? Are you doing this under the guidance of a doctor?
No, it's not. No, I've just done my own research into what can actually help with gyno, and it suggested to take it. Which, at the end of the day, for me, it's my main thing is to stay on the finasteride. So I'll do anything I can to rid the symptoms, because for me, obviously keeping my hair is the most important thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, I think I heard you say earlier that a mate of yours in Spain was sending you actual Proscar, or was it just generic 5 milligram finasteride?
It was generic, but it was. I mean, I don't know if you know, but in Spain you can just go into a chemist and buy it over the counter. We can't do that in England. So it was great, and it was also, I mean, for him, he was living there at the time, and he could, it was really cheap as well. I mean. But is it actual Proscar, or does it say finasteride on the box? Finasteride 5 milligram. It says finasteride 5 milligrams on the box.
Okay, so ask your mate if he can go in and actually pick up Proscar. You don't have to do this, but I think that you know how Spencer and I both feel about brand names. We're brand whores. We prefer that because you know that's the baseline that everything else is trying to compare to.
Of course,
right?
yeah. What I've done now is I've ordered some of the brand name Merck Proscar, and I found that quite easy to cut into fifths. So in doing that, I'm probably going to lower my dosage back down, because the tablets I've been taking at the minute are a shape where they're really difficult to cut into fits because they're round.
Yeah.
So
they're all difficult to cut because they're all so small to begin with. But yeah, I mean, if you feel if you feel comfortable with the shape of the actual Proscar tablet, because it's kind of like it's like a 6-sided or I'm not sure how many sides it is, but yeah, if you feel more comfortable using that, then by all means, you're in the winner circle because it's the baseline name brand that you need to consider, and then it's just easier to handle. So yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the way to go.
Also, I'd like if I can just add as well, like with regards to my journey and what I've been through. It's been like 6 years, 3 hair transplants. I'm currently using minoxidil, Proscar, and I also, I know you're probably going to laugh, but I also use the laser helmets, which is like.
I don't laugh. What I laugh at is how fucked up we all are to sit there with these fucking helmets on our heads. That's what I laugh at. But I believe some people get results. Say it again.
Well, Spencer, what I love about it is I pop it on with me. It's the silly one with the earphones as well, and I jump onto YouTube and listen to you guys while I've got it on, which makes it more fun.
You know what? I mean, it kind of doubles as a bike helmet too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
no,
especially at night. Especially at night because it makes you more visible.
Actually, guys, do not wear it as a bike helmet. Okay, I have to say that just in case some idiots out there will actually try that. Hold on, Joe. So my disk space, Joe. I'm sorry, my disk space just crashed out. So this is recording for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna have a full recording of the show. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I was going to say, it's like, you said some idiot's going to start using it as a bike helmet. Well, an even bigger idiot is going to come up with a bike helmet with lasers inside of it.
Yeah, and maybe that idiot's going to be me.
And it'll be powered by the bicycle pedaling itself.
Yeah, and it'll be solar, actually.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Or solar.
I'd say it works really well for me as well. I mean, I've been using it since January, and I'd say not so much like not the amount of hair, but my hair seems a lot better quality on my head. It seems really a lot thicker. It seems much better.
I honestly think that's great. And again, I poke fun of it, but it really, the reality is there are plenty of guys like yourself who do believe that the quality of their hair has improved. There are plenty of women out there who believe the quality of their hair has improved. So listen, what's the harm really? So,
of course,
and it may actually be working for a lot of people. Let me ask you this. So you are 33, you said?
36.
36. Okay, so you're still young, and you've had 3 hair transplants. When did you start to lose your hair?
I started losing hair in the early 20s, I'd say around 22.
And how, obviously it's affected your life to the degree that you're calling this fucked up show right now. So tell me, like, what is it, how have you dealt with it besides having, the actual going through the hair transplant process and taking medication? How has it affected you socially? Have you been able to kind of overcome it, get married or whatever, or have a significant other?
It's been massive really, because from the start, initially I was a guy who shaved my head. Nobody really knew. I was like, initially it was like, look like shaved head through choice.
Right.
And then I just continued for like the next 10 years. Got a pretty good shaped head. It worked okay for me in that way. And funny enough, the guy before I said who lived in Spain, he went for a consultation because he was going thin in the crown. So he went for a consultation in Liverpool, and he just, pardon the pun, he planted the seed. He was like, wouldn't you go for a consultation, the free, go along and speak to somebody and see what you can do.
That's how I got sucked in. I went with a buddy of mine.
Yeah. Look, and the sad thing about it really is the state. For me now, looking back with hindsight, is the way it's in this country, in the UK. It's quite scary really how they just, a lot of the people you speak to with regards to consultations and different companies are so, like, it's like almost like feels like false advertising. It's like you have come along, get 1 hair transplant, will be fine, or come to us, it'll cost this amount, and when you're naive and young and you don't really understand, you can go into that and think, well, 1 hair transplant, I'll be done, and then as you say, once you're in, aren't you? And you realise it's going to take more than one to get the results that you probably desire.
That's it, man. Once you are cut, you are cut. And sadly,
definitely,
in the UK, while things have gotten better to some degree, it is one of the most ruthless places to have a cosmetic surgery consultation of any kind.
It's huge. Well, Spencer, this is the truth of it. It's dominated my life to the point of, it being like at the forefront of my mind every day, trying and using different concealers to try and thicken it up, and then that becoming probably my first 2 transplants were, I'd say, average at best, probably through fault of my own, and not hands up, probably not doing enough research, but being told what you want to be told by people. I had my first surgery in Malaga, in Spain.
Well, look, I will tell you that I do think that people need to take responsibility for their decisions, but also with that said, I think that, being young and, seeing the way that hair transplantation is being sold, which is, one size fits all, easy to do, simple outpatient procedure. Why wouldn't you have more hair if you want more hair? The reality is they don't tell you the limitations of hair transplant surgery. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And, you were a guy, and this is a very classic story, like Joe, who looked good with a shaved head. Do you think that your life would have been better if you just continued to live your life with a shaved head?
If I'm completely honest, I'd say if I was where I was back now with no transplants, I probably wouldn't have got a hair transplant. That's the truth.
Right.
But in saying that, if I'd have had the knowledge or the know-how as to prevent hair loss when I first started losing my hair, I probably would have been able to, hold on to a lot more hair.
Right.
And not lost it. And then maybe, it would have been a case of one hair transplant might have been enough to give me great results after one, because it was just a slight thinning at the front to start with.
Well, I tell you, I'm glad that you found us, and I'm glad that now you have a safe place to come. And I used to use safe place all the time. Now everyone says safe place, and safe space, so I can't even use that term anymore because it makes me sound like a fucking idiot.
It sounds like a social justice warrior.
Yeah. But that's the whole point.
I've got to be honest as well, Spence, right? It's like, you on your show you heard about, painting your bald spot type thing. I'm happy with the fact that that's where I'm at now. With that's what I do, and that's all I need to do. Which is, it's like a milestone for me to be in that. One more surgery for me, which I will plan on having, will be me done, no concealer, and living as normal a life as you can with hair transplants. And it's been like a marathon, an absolute marathon, and
wow.
I think it's so. I mean, the amount of people I speak to about hair transplants on a weekly basis is huge. Just in day-to-day conversation with people who are losing their hair, and I always explain to them, what are you doing to prevent hair loss? What you do, because it's just the amount of people who know nothing about. It's just nothing about. A case of you need to hold on to what you've got. What's your priority? The priority's got to be to hold on to what you've got and not lose anymore. And then from there you can build, can't you? Where people, it's quite scary in this country, are going to clinics, not even knowing what finasteride is, having a hair transplant, going away from a clinic with a hair transplant, and still not knowing about preventional medication. And it's just crazy.
Well, you're right, and you know what? I Joe mentioned that I was awarded this Lifetime Achievement Award by a European organization, FUE Europe, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I kind of was brainstorming last night, and granted, I was drunk, okay, but I was brainstorming with somebody last night about really, now I think we really have the opportunity to kind of infiltrate all of Europe in a way that it really wasn't possible before, because a lot of the physicians, it was kind of like herding cats. But now that there are specific, really ethical organizations that are kind of starting to build in Europe, I think we may have more of an opportunity to better educate you guys, and for all of these doctors who are part of these organizations to get our message out to the public before they are wrangled in by these consultants and these cosmetic surgery firms that are just going out there and trying to get you to Turkey or trying to get you to India or trying to, get you to other parts of the world.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's going to be a real mission of mine this year. Like I figured, and I say this all the time, not to sound obnoxious, but, I got to switch it up a little bit. I got to figure out, either I have to see this as an extended calling and really make a difference, but I can't just stay complacent at this point. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to retire. So so I'd like to kind of do something a lot bigger in the next year or so and help guys out like yourself. Besides providing this platform, we want to help to have guys avoid what you had to go through.
Yeah, I think it's all about, there needs to be more honesty, doesn't it? There needs to be more, I don't know, there's got to be more trust, I think. And I know I think it's about money, isn't it? It's all about making money and making money on people. And that's the truth of it, isn't it? They want the clients and they want to perform the procedures. And
it is all about money. And there's nothing wrong with capital, being a capitalist.
Every bit of it.
But it's all about money. And if you don't understand that, there are very few, except for maybe, Dr. Bobak or a couple of other guys that I've met in my life who went to medical school to become because they wanted to become a hair transplant surgeon. Mm-hmm. Most guys who are in this field realize, wait a second, it's a lot harder to be an emergency medical doctor or to, be an internist and have to deal with insurance companies or, in your case, deal with, state-run medical programs than to just take cash and do cosmetic surgery or take credit cards. Nobody's saying, "Oh man, I'm going to spend all this time in medical school to be a fucking hair transplant surgeon." Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, listen.
Just add one thing as well, just to go to Joe for 1 minute. Is that I think looking at Joe's story, it's inspirational because you're looking and seeing someone who's been at what seems rock bottom with regards to their hair and come out the other end, and it gives people like yourself the belief that they can get there. And I am pretty much 90% where I'd ever want to be. So it's credit where credit's due. It's great. It's a great watch, and it's great to see a story like that. And you've got a great show, and it's a pleasure to watch you and listen.
Well, listen, we really appreciate you watching us, and Joe obviously appreciates that compliment because he's really put a lot of work into this over the years, and he was the OG guy, the OG fucked up dude that went online and told the world what happened to him.
So. Not something to necessarily be proud of, but it is the way it unfolded. And look, I think that your story and how it applies to the UK market overall is important because there seems to be the UK hair transplant industry for many years was not looked upon favorably because there was a lot of bad work coming out there from a small number of clinics, and then about 10, 12 years ago, it kind of started to change where some clinics started to emerge as being, pretty strong and doing some pretty natural work. But it was a very short window of time that there were a few clinics that stood out above the rest. And now, and for the past several years, there's been an explosion in the UK that we've not seen anywhere else in the Western world, where in the UK, people are extremely conscious about letting anyone know that they've had any sort of cosmetic procedures. Like, no, stiff upper lip. We don't, we don't do that here, right? We don't talk about that. But when Wayne Rooney came along, that changed everything. And now the UK, it's like there are more celebrity discussions in the tabloids about their hair transplants than anywhere else I've seen on the planet.
Yeah.
And because of this, not just because of that, but also because of the introduction of cheap medical equipment to perform surgeries, we're having an explosion of clinics in the UK and in Liverpool. There's actually one of the videos I did on a celebrity. He had a procedure in Liverpool.
I live 10 minutes away from that clinic. I know exactly that clinic is.
It's horrendous, horrendous work.
Awful. Yeah, I know quite a few guys who've had hair transplants there, and the hairlines are horrendous. The shape is just like as if they've had it boxed out with some type of clipper or something on the head. It looks absolutely terrible work.
It is terrible. And the great thing, look, you've got a resource that's very active in the UK, hairlossexperiences.com. The administrator of that website, he's actually engaging with patients to help them with their issues from some of these UK clinics, and my hat's off to him for that. He's a stand-up guy, and he's streaming the show for us as well. He allows us to embed it streaming in his forum. But
is it streaming now?
I'm glad. Yeah, streaming now.
All right.
I put it up there. It's important for the UK to get some more exposure in this regard with people like you calling into the show and sharing your experiences. So thank you for that. I'm glad you're able to get through to us.
Sure.
Right.
Just one last thing.
Sure.
You mentioned Wayne Rooney. I think one thing which is really important to mention about that is he kind of made it, like, credit to him. He was open about it, which he had to be, I suppose, being in the limelight. But I think the problem you've got with Wayne is that he's got 2 surgeries, I think it is now, if I'm correct, and his results are probably poor to average if you look at it. And sometimes he's got thick head of hair because I feel like he's wearing some type of concealer. And then
absolutely, he is.
And then a week later he's got a bald head. But the general public don't see that, do they? Because they only see, you've got a magnifying glass over your own appearance, haven't you, and your own hair. So people don't see that, and they just see Wayne Rooney, hair transplant, full head of hair. I'm going to go and have a hair transplant because Wayne Rooney has, and it works great. And you look at it and thinking, well, realistically, it hasn't worked great, has it?
Well, there's also some UK press that I've seen, and Joe, your internet's crapping out. There's also some UK press that I've seen where they show overhead shots of Wayne Rooney saying that his hair transplant is now failing, when, in fact, that's what his hair transplant was. He's just not wearing, or allegedly wearing, concealer, in those images. And that's the way that it is. I mean, I will tell you that the UK press is all fucked up.
Brutal.
They are brutal.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And but definitely. Yeah, I mean, really, what you can expect from a hair transplant. I think that Wayne, I don't know how many grafts he had. I think that maybe I don't want to judge, but I think that possibly he could have gotten better growth. I'm not sure, but all in all, his face is framed. It's really relatively clean work, I would say. And I think what he has done is made people less shamed to consider having cosmetic surgery for their hair and to talk about it and maybe to actually do some research. But the problem is most people are too fucking lazy to do any research.
Yeah, and this country itself, and being the UK, is quite lazy with regards. It's just like, okay, I'll take this pill and make me slim, or maybe it's for the world over, I don't know, but that seems to be the way it is, whereby it's like, I'll get a hair transplant and it's done without the research, Wayne Rooney's obviously, for me, not taking any type of preventional medication to prevent further hair loss, because it seems like he's lost. Whereas, I don't know,
it's possible that he may not be able to, depending on the country, where, it could mask steroid use, so they may not want him to utilize it.
That's what was banned from the Olympics. I think they can take it now.
Yeah.
In the Olympics. I think that was reversed, but that's why it was originally banned, because it was considered to be a masking agent for steroids or enhancing products.
There was a guy, the manager. I know you've got a busy show. Well, just one last point.
No, we actually don't. So
you don't. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you've got the I don't know if you use it up on the Premier League football, but you've got the ex-Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, who came out a couple of years ago now with concerns about footballers using preventive medications for hair loss. So I think you've only got to look at the Premier League and the footballers who are probably aged from late teens to mid-30s, and there's not many guys with no hair. So I should imagine a lot of them are taking preventional medication to prevent hair loss.
A lot of them are also 100%. Having hair transplants. I know of at least 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I'm not a big football. I don't follow European football much, but I know some of these guys because of my travels, and you meet people, and when I visit clinics, there might be someone there. There's a lot of them out there, and some of them are talked about in the like I was saying earlier, the online tabloids. But it's still great exposure for the industry, and it's a double-edged sword because some people are like, oh, well, so-and-so did it, how hard can it be? That's the negative side of it. But the positive side is it's making a lot more people comfortable with the idea.
It's normal
to at least talk about it, right? Maybe not to go through with it, but to at least talk about it, and to do some research and learn more about it to see if it's for them or not.
But you know what I wish? I wish that guys like yourself and other guys who are tuning into this program, I understand that's kind of like, it's hard to spread the word about this show because everyone is like doing it, listening and watching on the down low. That was always an issue with me, especially when I was here on national radio here in the U.S. Everyone would say, yeah, we're going to promote the show. Or, when social media started, everyone was like, yeah, we're going to, absolutely Spence. Never happens because everyone's just so ashamed of dealing with hair loss or talking about their hair loss or saying that they're spending time watching a guy who does a bald show, which is ridiculous if I think about it. But
I think it's brilliant. I don't think it's ridiculous at all. I think it's amazing. I think it's unbelievable. It's like people should do whatever makes them happy and speak about things that are important.
But would you? Okay, so here's a question though. Would you sit on a bench waiting for a taxi where people are walking by with a tablet and the speaker's blaring about two guys talking about hair loss?
Well, let's put it this way. Now it's a little bit different because there's so many different niche programs that you could see through the internet. But when I started, which was 20 years ago, I was actually on the radio, and program directors were like, "There's no way this is going to last," and I'm like, "It'll last, motherfuckers." I mean, all you guys are going bald. Look at you. And you're going to be listening to the show.
It's going to get them all in the end, isn't it?
Yeah. Dude, I am like the grim fucking reaper. Eventually, everybody's going to be watching this show. Or listening to the show. And that's what I always said. So we lasted for a long time on the radio, and then we moved over to satellite radio and now on the internet. The only problem is, it's always been, even though the audience was big, it always kind of created a niche. It was really difficult to cross over to mainstream because of the subject matter. It's like having the small penis show, Yeah. And, which Joe wants to do for some reason. I don't know, but, I'll produce it.
Well, because I think other guys should accept it,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
but
so many ways to get caught in that one.
Dude, are you kidding me? You think if I can make a living, I'll do it. I don't give a fuck. But anyway, so what I want all of you guys to do, or watching this program or listening to, spread the word so that, in any way that you can, whether it's just tweet information out, even if it's an anonymous Twitter account, or I don't know, just get the word out there, because there's so many guys, especially now, things are worse than ever. You're talking about how bad the UK was. It is crazier than ever. And there's so many guys who are going to go through exactly what you went through, even though you're not in a bad position, but you're in an unnecessary position. But there are guys who are going to be fucked up.
Yeah. Spencer, would you say this is the best advice I can give anybody, and I give anybody who's thinking of a hair transplant, or any kind of, you maybe minoxidil or something, is to do something like preventative for at least 12 months. Get on finasteride for 12 months solid with minoxidil, the two combined, and then see where you're coming from 12 months down the line, as opposed to jumping straight in and getting a hair transplant when it might be unneeded, or you might find out that those drugs don't work for you, and then you can make a more calculated decision whether the hair transplant is correct for you. That's
that was my route.
I believe in that in principle, just in the idea that you need to try every route possible that's non-surgical before you go down the surgical route. But I think that you should be a bit more cautious with that. I think people should not start both of them at the same time. We've talked about this on the show, because you don't know which one's going to work and which one's not going to work, because many times that is the case. Minoxidil may not do anything for you, but Propecia can. But you don't know, and you're scared shitless to even stop one or the other, because you might lose something, and that's true. So I think that the better route, or the more sensible route, is to try one for at least 6 months to see if you have any sort of positive response. If you do have a positive response, keep going. And then maybe after another 6 months, add something, add the alternative. Like if you start with Propecia, then and then you can add minoxidil or vice versa. I recommend Propecia first instead of minoxidil. I think it's more effective, but that way you're not left guessing. The last thing you want to do is get, or the last thing I want to do is get stuck into a routine where I'm taking, I think I said this to the last caller, Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid, not knowing exactly which one is doing what, right? So start off with one, evaluate, add another one on top of it to see if that helps or enhances, and then make your decision a year later or longer if you can. But the point is, stave off surgery as long as possible.
Yeah.
Well, I did that approach more than 20 some odd years ago, and I still haven't had surgery. So for some people it works.
To be honest, looking at you, Spencer, I mean, I just see a full head of hair, and
I appreciate you saying that, but I have to have the fucking bald cam because I told somebody that I would do it. Some guys in the chat, they want to see the bald spot without the paint, so I'm going to hook up a camera behind me, and one day not wear my paint.
Show it.
Yeah.
Well, just out of curiosity, what concealer do you use?
I use Derm Match currently. I've been using it for a long time. For me, what I like about it is it gives me control as far as making a part line, as opposed to, and then you can do this with Topic or other types of fibers, but you have to kind of put a comb into your hairline and work around it in order to create a part. Yeah. What a lot of people do is they cover their entire scalp, and there's no part line, and it just kind of looks like their scalp is actually painted. But yeah, for me, Derm Match really works. But for everybody out there, when I talk about painting my bald spot, you can't be really bald and paint your bald spot. Otherwise, you look like a fucking idiot. So
you need some hair, don't you? You need some hair.
You need some hair. But yeah, I appreciate the compliment. That's the reaction I'm going for.
Yeah.
I want to look like I got hair on my head.
And also with the fibers as well, you'd also worry in case it rains if you go out, and you've got all those kind of problems as well, haven't you, in case it rains and it falls off on your face.
I had fibers. I went to the dentist once, and I got up, and the bolster was like a black smiley face. It was ridiculous. But it's funny because I do what I do, and I was doing it I'm doing this since I was a young man. I just was very open about it, and very, I didn't have that stress or that anxiety about people, or about being discovered or people finding out. Women or anybody, I was just like, don't touch my hair. I would explain why, and you either liked me or you didn't.
As long as it didn't look like there's something to investigate. That's I think Spencer's issue was it can't look like he's got a thin spot, but he's happy to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I would rather it not look like I have a thin spot, but the truth is it does, because if you look at the back of my head, it's flat. So there's like a puff of hair here, and then it's like a slope.
No, people don't recognize that for what it really is.
There's like a slope there, right?
It's like almost like you're not getting the same volume, are you? The same height, are you, in that area? I'm similar in that sense.
You can't get the same volume because there's no fucking hair there.
There you go, guys. There you go, guys. Screenshots. Mine's completely flat, I think. Let's see.
And Joe, I know you said on a couple of weeks ago, you said about a new product and you were going to do a video about it. I just wondered, it was with regard to a new concealer.
Oh yeah. No, I got the box right down here. I haven't opened it yet because I need to get a new drone. There was a company that contacted me because they saw my drone video where I'm comparing Topic, Derm Match, Kobren, and something else.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that.
And they're like, "Will you do it again? We'll send you some product. It's free." What I'm interested in, they sent me a product that'll make my beard, the gray of my beard, go away. So I'm going to test that too.
Right. Wait a second. What product is that?
Heriton.
And what is it, like a mascara type of thing, or is it?
I don't know. It's right here. It's still in the box that I got from.
Dude, debox it or do unboxing right now.
No, it's for the video. No.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It's for the video.
So,
I'd love to do unboxing
Joe,
right now.
Joe, out of curiosity, is the new concealer is it similar to a Dermatch, or is it like fibers, or is it?
It's fibers, and what they're telling me, they're telling me that it's the salesman was telling me this, or the rep for the company, it's far better than the other fibers out there because the way that they make it, they add shine to the product. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it actually matches, or should match relatively with the shine of your hair if you have healthy hair.
Now you do know that you and I, if we chose to, I know where the manufacturers are in China, can choose either a natural cotton blend or a keratin blend, just like with silica, just like Topic. They package it for you. You pick the packaging, whatever it is. You pay pennies on a dollar.
And label it.
Yeah, so it's basically a white label product. Yep. Fucking put the logo, slap on the American Hair Loss Association seal, and we will make a fucking fortune. And that's once we have the product, you know that I'm selling out. It's not even selling out. If it's a good product, it's a good product. But we can make that happen. Most of these companies are getting these products from the same manufacturers and just slapping different labels on it and making different claims.
I actually asked that question, and they said no, they're not. So
that's good.
We'll see. The guy told me, he said we charge more than the other guys, but it's because we don't get it from the same place. So we'll see. We'll see. I actually have another angle on the review where I'm going to examine each of the products. I still have the other products. I'm going to examine them all microscopically.
Well, I'm going to let the caller. That's very cool. I'll let the caller ask his last question or say his last thing in a second. But what I want, if you can actually, I don't dye my beard because I don't want to look like a fucking magician. So, if you can find something that can take a few years off of my face, because the gray, while I like the beard, I am considering just shaving it off when the mustache turns completely gray.
Well, that's the thing. This is what ages me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know the product. And it will work great for you, 100%.
What is it?
It's just for men for your hair, but it's a shampoo.
Okay.
And it builds gradual. So if you were to shampoo your beard, it will build gradual, and it leaves still an amount of grey, so it looks natural, as opposed to being totally
now.
black.
Does it have lead acetate in it, or does it is one of the potential long-term side effects of vitiligo?
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
No idea at all. But
I'll check it out.
It's used on people use it on their hair, like grey hair, and it just takes the edge off the grey. So it's not a bad.
Like I'm gonna keep my gray hair. It doesn't look as gray on camera. I mean, it does when it's a little closer, but it's actually much more gray. There's some videos out there where you can see what my hair really looks like as far as the color.
It does look different in person. It's like when I last saw Spencer, which was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
In Vegas, I walked up to him and I said, Mr. Kobren, have you seen Spencer?
Yeah. Thank you. It's a beautiful silver color, motherfucker. No.
It is silky.
Yeah.
It is silky.
Embrace the silver. Embrace the silver.
Yeah, but the beard itself, like you see guys who have silver hair and they maintain a pretty dark beard naturally. I would like to have that look if possible, but so far anything that I've tried, I just look like like some really just lowbrow magician. So it's not,
I think definitely the Just for Men beard where to go. I think it'll definitely work for you.
I'll give it a shot. I'll read about it first of all. All right, man. Well, listen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the call. Your call definitely helped a lot of people, and let us know what you decide to do as far as if you get the other brand, or if you go back on your own brand and see how you do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks for your time.
You take care.
Cheers.
Thanks for the call.
Bye bye. See you now. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
2.5 hours.
No more calls? We're done?
Yeah, even if there were, I'm not going to... Oh, motherfucker. You had to say that.
We're on 2.5 hours now.
Yeah. And I have no more space on my fucking hard drive, which is fucked up. I have to empty that, put it on.
Go down to Best Buy. And
I have an external hard drive. I just got to use it.
Yeah. All right. One more call. Quick question.
No, we can't because they just hung up. So we're just going to go.
Oh, Okay.
All right, guys, listen, this was a great test. Thank you guys for hanging out. I think that we accomplished a lot today, and we will hopefully be able to do, or my hope is that we can do at least 2 live broadcasts a week, but that's up to you guys. If you keep calling, we will do 2. If you don't, we won't. Now, for the Tuesday broadcast, I actually have to increase our lines. Oh, shit, somebody's calling in. I actually have to increase our lines because the phones are off the hook. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Even though eventually, every once in a while I say, hey, we're not getting calls, call in. As soon as I say that, then all the lines light up. So we need more lines. Guys who are calling in who are not getting a busy signal but are actually being sent into either a voicemail queue or into some other queue. For whatever reason, I've not been able to fix that on my voice over IP. I actually looked into it, Joe, and I tried to go into the website, and I haven't been able to fix that. We're going to hope that you get a busy signal next Tuesday, but if not, the phone is busy, so keep calling back. And
we're working on it, guys.
We're working on it.
This is voodoo that's going on here.
Let's take the last phone call, make it quick, and then I'm going to the bar. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys, it's Dave from Long Island.
Dave from Long Island. How are you, man?
Dave.
I'm good. How you guys doing?
You know, we're not bad.
Can't complain.
All right, good.
You know what? Do me a favor. Turn down your computer or your phone or whatever it is. I hear some feedback.
All right, hold on one second. Let me see what I can do, because I'm driving right now, so that might be a problem. But how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, it's fine.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I'll try to make it quick. Okay. So I'm 6 months post FUT, like in a week or two.
Right.
Yep.
And so far everything's looking good, but I have a gap like behind my hairline. Like the hairline grew in nicely. The rest of it's starting to grow well, but right behind the hairline there's like a big gap, you know. And I'm wondering, do certain spots on your scalp take longer than others? I mean, how does that work? It seems strange.
First of all, are you on a motorcycle?
No,
Okay.
That was the car with a loud exhaust in front of me. Sorry.
All right, no, it's okay. We actually had a guy calling us from a motorcycle once, which is pretty interesting. I guess they had Bluetooth in your helmet. But, yeah, I'm going to let Joe answer the question. I'll just give you my opinion real briefly. Yeah, I mean, there's always a possibility of having gaps. You never know, how grafts replace. If, in fact, grafts replaced in a certain area or not placed densely enough in specific areas right behind the hairline or, wherever that gap. Where's the gap between your hairline?
Well, it's right behind the hairline.
Okay.
Like a big hole.
The transplanted hairline.
Yeah, the transplanted hair. I had no hairline. I was Norwood 6 before the transplant.
Okay, so you had, how many grafts did you have?
3,500, over 3,500.
Okay, so they built a hairline and they moved it through. I have to assume that they went no further than the vertex, right? Just on the very top of your scalp.
They didn't go into the crown. They said that if I want to get the crown done, I'm gonna have to come back. He likes to work in stage. This is Dr. Bloxham, by the way.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. No, look. I mean, you're 6 months. You still got a few more months of potential new growth that can come in behind the hairline. Different areas of the scalp will sprout new grafts at different times during your recovery. So, I mean, at 6 months, it's fair to have questions, but it's not really, necessary to get alarmed. Because you still, I mean, a lot of guys have a big change between month 6 and month 9. So you're realistically, you're probably 60% there. So you got plenty more development to look forward to.
Yeah, Dr. Bloxham put like a timeline kind of thing. But I mean, I know that everybody's different. The human body is different for everybody. But he said at around 6 months, you should be like 60% of the hairs have come through the scalp. And
well, see, he agrees with me. That tells you that he's a smart kid. So.
Oh, there you go. Right, exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, I was just a little concerned about that. But
don't be. I'm not big on timelines because it is so variable from patient to patient. Hey, stop speeding.
I know, really. Yeah.
Look, Bloxham trained with somebody who has a lot of experience and who has, provided some really consistent results over the years. So I have a feeling that you probably, you're going to end up happy.
Yeah.
But with anybody else, though, it doesn't matter if it's the best hair transplant surgeon in the world with the most time on tissue, even though this guy is relatively new, anything can happen. Anything could happen. And you may have a, area that's, a little less dense than you would like. That's just the nature of hair transplant surgery. They do their best to try to make everything as uniform as possible, but that isn't always how it turns out.
Right, like you always, you said it a lot of times, Spencer. Like, doesn't matter who the surgeon is. There's always somebody who they fucked up.
Absolutely, right? And like I said, this guy doesn't have a lot of time on tissue, but it doesn't mean that he's not even more skilled than somebody that has that time on tissue, just based on his own, interest in hair transplantation over the years, based on the fact that he's trained with somebody who's really good at what they do. His youth, there could be some youthful hubris, depending on. I don't know the guy that well, but he seems like, I don't know. He seems like he could probably end up being pretty good. So
But also,
go ahead.
Also keep in mind that 3,500 grafts isn't a lot of hair for a
Norwood
6.
No.
So
it's a good start. It's a great start.
Might be, it's a great start. It's a great foundation to work with. But, I don't know what it is ultimately that you're expecting. But keep in mind that it's just not a lot of hair for such a large area.
Well, the grafts hit the crown. Like, it hit right to the edge of the crown. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went all the way to he densely packed I don't know what you call it, like the front to the middle of my scalp. And then toward the back where the crown begins, the grafts weren't as densely packed. I'm not going to say dispersed all around, but they just weren't as densely packed. That's what I'll say.
Well, that's a natural progression. I think it's important to know that 3,500 grafts from the area that you're talking about, hairline to vertex, and this is just the way I look at it. The term dense pack doesn't apply because it's not enough. Dense pack has different meanings for different doctors, but in my view, it's not appropriate to call that dense packing. Unless half the grafts are put into your hairline, then that would be dense packing. But it's a strong foundation, and as long as you got a nice framing for your face, and assuming the majority of the grafts are going to grow fine, you should have a massive night-day difference. That's a solid foundation for moving forward, and that was a case for me in my first surgery, my first repair surgery with Dr. Wong. I was it's not on the scale, but I was a Norwood 6.5 if there were one, and I only had 2,400 grafts in my first surgery, same area, hairline to vertex, and that certainly wasn't dense packed, but that was the most important surgery in my progression because that took me from bald as fuck to just thinning with a bald crown, and that was a huge difference, like massive.
And you know what? And Joe, it's funny you say that because Dr. Bloxham said to me, he goes, front foundation, and it's just going to look like you have some thinning in the back and an opening, otherwise a bald spot in the back. So a strong front, thinning vertex or whatever, and then just a bald spot. And if I want to take care of that, I can come back and take care of it at a later date, he said.
And that's the right way to do that. I think I believe in the stage process. A lot of people used to look at me and talk about how much hair I've had moved, but no one talked about the fact that I never had a single surgery over 2,500 grafts. Never once. But I've got more hair moved on my scalp than most people on the planet. But it was all in small procedures, and so I'm a believer in that. And I'm glad to see that it sounds like a sensible approach that Dr. Bloxham took for you.
Right, yeah, I'm glad I went to him. I'm pretty satisfied so far. Hopefully this gap fills in, but, who knows. So.
All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate the call. Always a pleasure hearing from you. I'm glad. It sounds like you're on, let me put the camera on me. It sounds like you're on the right track and that you're going to come away with a really nice, solid result.
Right.
And, in the end of the day, that's why you had a hair transplant.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Hey, Spencer, let me give you can I give you like a quick about why you won't get a procedure?
a quick what?
A quick conspiracy theory about why you won't get your procedure.
Sure.
Why you won't get surgery. I think if you got a procedure, that's you putting your weight behind one particular doctor.
That is true.
And
well said.
And then what? Yeah, like what? So if you were to get a procedure, it's saying like, I favor this doctor's work over everybody else's, and that's why I decided.
Well, it would be professional suicide in that respect. However, if I were to get a procedure, that physician would be signing a non-disclosure agreement. And if it did get out that I used that procedure, his ass would be sued into oblivion.
Well, you can sue him into oblivion regardless because it's just patient confidentiality. You can't breach that.
Oh, okay. Well, that kind of shoots down my theory that you're going to have them sign a confidentiality thing. There you go.
Absolutely. And, what I find interesting, there were a couple of guys over the years, actually many guys who offered me a transplant. And as soon as I brought that up, it was like, okay, well, I'll still do it. But they really wanted me in,
Yeah. All motive was taken away.
including your friends up in Canada, Joe.
Yeah, I know. I was there.
Yeah. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm going to get a transplant on my bald spot or, maybe get a little bit of extra grafts on my hairline? I don't want to get fucked up.
Yep.
It's funny. It's how serious a surgery is if you're not, somebody who runs the operation that you do is not interested in getting a surgery. That just shows how cautious you are, I guess.
Well, it also shows I'm very honest about what it is. That's the thing. I'm cautious, and I also understand what the entire scope and the possible pitfalls are. So at this stage in my life, even today, at the age of 53, the possible downsides do not really outweigh the possible benefits right now. Now, if I continue to lose hair and if things start to change, then that, balance may shift. And then I may be like, all right, it's time. But honestly, I want to be able to maintain a facial framing. I'd rather save the hair that I would utilize to fill up a crown, so I don't have to wear makeup, for my hairline if I ever need it.
Right. Well, what if Dermatch goes out of business? What are you going to do then?
I'll make my own, dude.
Make your own concoction?
Absolutely. I will whoever I have to hire. Let me tell you something. If Merck stops making brand name, I'll still get it. How's that?
Hey, you're a resourceful guy.
That's how fucking nuts I am. So, all right,
I'll be right there with him.
All right, dude. Well, listen, I really wish you the best of luck, and I think that you're doing well. It sounds like you're in a good spot. I hate to get the calls when the guys are 6 months out and they're unhappy. The fact that you're already seeing a really great improvement, that's a great sign.
All right, I appreciate the encouragement.
All right, man. Take care.
Call back and let us know how it works out.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, thanks for calling.
Bye.
That's it. Phones are off.
We're done.
We are done.
Don't call.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll give out the websites, even though this isn't a normal show. I'll give out Joe's website, which is hairtransplantmentor.com. Check out Joe and his journey, his crazy journey through life as a hair loss sufferer, as a hair transplant victim, as a hair transplant conqueror. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Transplant victim, as a hair transplant conqueror. Okay, yeah, that does make sense. And
sorry, I was just hearing. I was hearing you in the background.
Yeah, I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear if that made sense. So I put up the volume for a second because we're on a delay.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that check back.
Yeah. So, guys, to check out archives of this broadcast or all broadcasts, go to thebaldtruth.com. Now, I've been a little slow to get the archives up for the last few years, but the good news is since we are simulcasting on Joe Tillman's Hair Transplant Mentor YouTube stream, or YouTube page, or YouTube channel it's called, for what an old fucking man move that was. YouTube channel, it goes up automatically. So, sometimes it doesn't record the whole show for some reason. I don't know if that's Joe's fuck up or if that's their fuck up.
It's not mine.
Yeah.
It's not mine.
But for the most part, if we do a show now, it's going to be, whatever we say is out there in perpetuity. That's it. So,
unless I find the timestamp and slice that bad boy out.
Yeah, slice it up. But anyway, we stand by our word. Fuck everybody. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. It is Friday, so go out and have a good time. If you're on the East Coast, go out and get drunk, have fun, meet women, talk to people. You know, hair loss
Don't worry
sucks,
about your hair.
but you know what? Everyone else is dealing with it too. All these guys who you think are really ultra confident, they probably are painting their head. You have no clue. No clue at all. I was one of those guys. Walked into a bar, young man, didn't look too bad, in good shape, painting my whole fucking head. You guys didn't know. I knew. It was devastating, though, I'll tell you that. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. The American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org. The International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, which is IAHRS.org. The Bald Truth message forum, which is baldtruthtalk.com. That's, it's a message forum, so realize whatever information you get on there, take it with a grain of salt unless you know where that info is coming from. Like if Joe gives you some information on there, he puts his name out there. He signs it, essentially. So,
it's me.
Yeah, so until next time, guys, be strong, God bless, and of course, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out about their haircuts.
Sure.
I lost my hair when I was 16 to 17 years old.
That's heavy.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, man. And the funny thing is that I've learned to overcome it. And I've had a